Good morning, Metro Nui! Welcome back to another episode of the Barraki Talk Show. We're your hosts, the Mulek brothers,
Jacob,
Samuel,
Thomas, and we're glad you're joining us today as we talk our way through the weird and wondrous world of Bionicle.
Imagine, if you will, a paragon of light who was almost turned to shadow, and this hero must now travel to strange and unique alternate realities in hope of saving his friends. This is the Toa of Twilight Zone.
Before we begin, we're introducing Arthur. How many times have you been on the show?
I've been on twice and then a couple cameos here and there announcing the merch.
So
That's
far
true.
too much is what you're saying.
Alright, I understand.
So I was wondering if
when
you-
I'm not needed, I'll see you guys in a week or so. Have a good one.
I was wondering if that qualifies you for very guest, or are you still a very special
Well,
guest?
You said
I'm
that
sorry, I need a veteran
for-
discount because I'm a veteran of this talk show. Thank you very much.
So, we have our very veteran guest star, Arthur. Woo!
Hello.
Who's also an artiste.
True.
That is true, or something I've been told.
Fact checkers say true. Anyway, we're going to be talking about the different alternate realities of the Bionicle world, and specifically Takanuva getting sent through them all for completely arbitrary reasons.
Wait, so is this the first time that someone is sent to a different universe that we actually get to see their perspective?
Unless you count the Zone of Darkness.
Which I don't.
Why?
The Zone of Darkness is
It's an
space
alternate
between
dimension.
spaces.
It's not a space, it's its own separate dimension.
It's its own separate dimension that happens to be exactly unlike every other universe.
Hey, Brutaka threatens to throw Lariska into a thing that's pure light beings who eat darkness. Is that so crazy from the Zone of Darkness?
I guess not.
Or he threatens to throw Spear, not Lariska. Just saying, you got a Zone of Light, a Zone of Dark, and then the other realities are just like slightly altered version of the main line. It's like you got a lot of variety here.
That's fair, I suppose. I'll accept it.
Okay, so it begins with Takanuva. He's, I don't want to say kidnapped by the Order of Matanui, but he's kidnapped by the Order of Matanui. And they're like, you gotta go to Karda Nui. Well, first they put a face hugger on him, and he's like, whoa! And he gets the knowledge that Karda Nui is going to be obliterated by a giant energy storm if they manage to wake up the Great Spirit. So they're like, okay, now you gotta go have to tell the Toa Nuva. You have to go tell. You have to go tell the Toa Nuva about the energy storm so they can get out and not die. A very sensible plan, in my opinion.
Wait, but I thought he got ambushed by the Shadow Leech and he didn't have it be put on them. And then the Order of Matanui rescued him and then told him about that he needs to go to Karda Nui. Or am I just like...
Correct. And he was partially drained, so he can shoot shadow from his
left?
right hand and light from his left... Shadow from his left hand and light from his right hand. Oh, light is right.
And that's what I was gonna say. I've
What?
become too predictable.
Yeah. But he can't regenerate his light, so it is a limited resource. But in the stories, he really has no qualm about using it, and it's never really mentioned, so make of that what you will, I guess.
That's really weird.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we talk
okay.
about the power lands. So anyway, Brutaka, for some reason they don't use Botard. I don't know if they mention that Karda Nui is shielded from conventional teleportation, but that is the implication, because the Suvas can't teleport masks in, and the Makuta can't teleport in or out of Karda Nui, have to go through that little portal. So presumably conventional teleportation can't get to Karda Nui, but we know Artaka's teleportation can get into it, and we know the Mask of Dimensional Gates can get into it. So make of that what you will. So
And
that's why they have
Botar
Brutaka
not-
open up a...
Wait, I think I might have zoned out for a bit. Can Botar not teleport to anywhere?
Given that he doesn't go to Karda Nui, we presume he can't go to Karda Nui.
Somebody ring up Greg Forstey now!
Yeah. And given that the Makuta also don't teleport out of Karda Nui when they want to go to Destral, that again implies that normal teleportation doesn't work.
So, but why does the Mask of Dimensional Gates work? Because
It's not teleportation.
Yeah, but how does that work? How do you open a gate from your dimension to your dimension?
It's just what he does. Presumably you travel between a dimension.
And then come back.
Out. Yeah. So like he puts the starting point. So imagine like in Portal, right? So actually this is nothing like Portal.
No. Better yet, imagine like portals in the Nether.
The Nether.
Yeah, like that. You briefly go through one dimension, then you pop out in the next.
Yeah.
So that's the best way I would assume it works. Artaka is just powerful enough that his works, so I don't know. the Great Beings designing Karda Nui, they're like, nothing can teleport here. The Great Beings designing Artaka, this guy can get in here. Anyway, although if Artaka's teleportation didn't work on every random object, then the universe would have collapsed long ago.
That's a good point.
Good caveat to have. Anyway, so Brutaka opens up a portal and has Takanuva go through. I don't know why I'm so stuttery today.
It's all that caffeine.
You gotta press pause on the video to let it buffer a little more so that it's a little smoother.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, Brutaka's mask has a hairline crack through it, and that makes him go to an entirely different dimension rather than just to Karda Nui, which is a massive bummer for Takanuva, but is very fun for us. So this is where it all begins, where we get to see the alternate realities. So the first... It's debated what the actual order of the realities he visits is. So I'm just going to do it in this order, and it makes enough sense.
And then we'll fight at the end to explain why it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But
we will each need to make a whole thesis statement and everything, just like defend for our doctorate of bionicle knowledge or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll divvy up the possible interpretations, and then we'll each take one and defend it.
The one who the audience votes.
Except there's one that's just objectively wrong.
No.
The audience gets to vote.
With enough great statements, nothing is objectively wrong.
That is fair.
Yeah. So the first glorpa-borp that he slorpa-norps into is called the Kingdom Universe. And it starts with Takanuva being Do you want to run through this one? I can't speak. This is the most scuffed episode of all time.
So basically how it starts is Takanuva like lands and he's looks up and he sees this massive city, just absolutely ginormous, and he's like, this looks a lot like Metro Nui. He's like, oh, there's the Colosseum, this must be Metro Nui. He's like, but it looks strange, there's all these like ramshackle shacks.
Vizrak battle ramshacks.
Anyway, and he's like, this looks super similar to Metro Nui, but something is off here. He's like, not only is the size of the city wrong, but he's like, the sky is blue. He's like, which I've only ever seen in one other location.
Well, yeah, and then he's looking at the sun and be like, that's the Mata Nui sun.
Yeah. And so he concludes that it must not be at Metro Nui, but it's on Mata Nui, but he doesn't know why it looks so much like Metro Nui.
Yeah, because it doesn't just look like Metro Nui, there's also a lot of different building designs from the other species as well.
Yeah, and well, that's another thing to discuss is that there's basically every major species is all present. Like he can see them as he's walking through, and he's like, wait a second, there are Matoran, there are Vizrak, there are Skakti, there are Borok,
there are Vortex,
and then we later learn there are Dark Hunters just chilling. And so it's like everybody's there.
Yeah, it's like, what is going on?
Anyway, and so as he's standing there, Maku comes up to him and says like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm Takanuva. And she's like, you're not Takanuva. He's like, what do you mean? And she's like, are we gonna have a problem, or do you want me to call the Dark or the Hunters?
Yeah. And she says he doesn't look like Turaga Takanuva.
Oh, that's what it is. And he's like, wait, Turaga?
He's like, I don't feel old. I'm young at heart.
Anyway, but I do like this part. She's like, all right. And she takes him to this big Like, it just describes him as a big guy
with
holding
a massive axe.
Yeah.
And you're
then,
just like, who could this be?
Yeah. And the guy's like, yep, he really does truly believe he's Takanuva. And he's
isn't
not
a
a shapeshifter.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so she's like, thanks, Axon. And he's basically like, no problem.
Yeah, I love that. I'm like, what a logical way to actually have Axon be in the story,
Well,
right?
and we talked about like uses for Axon's mask when we were discussing Axon. I'm like, good choice. Like, this actually, like you said, a logical way to have him be there. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, being able to see spirits and shapeshifters is like almost a hard counter to a Makuta, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
pretty
but
cool.
he also does take away Takanuva's staff of light because
Yeah.
he's like, Takanuva doesn't like to have weapons just about in the city.
They're trying to take away your weapons. They want you to eat bugs, which of course is every animal in Bionicle.
That's true. Especially crabs.
Then Takanuva's taken to Jala.
Yeah. So he's like, I want to see Jala because he thinks that Jala will actually at least give him some sort of information.
Yeah.
And so he does. He goes and sees Jala and he's like,
Who is a Toa?
Yeah, who is a Toa Mari.
A Toa
at
Mari
this point.
specifically.
Yeah. So, which is like, okay, that's interesting,
Mhm,
you know,
weird.
different. And they're talking about like, or he talks to him a bit and he's explaining how, yeah, like, everybody, all of the species live together. The Dark Hunters are the enforcers. They're the police.
And there are some Toa, but they're not the enforcers. They just do other stuff around the island as well.
And so Takanuva, when he's talking to Jala, he's like, you know, I'm Takanuva. And he's like, again, you're not Takanuva. And it's really interesting that at this point, Takanuva was like, I could explain and it would probably make sense to him. He's like, but it's going to cause more trouble than it's worth
which
ultimately.
Is so, yes.
I'm like, yeah, and he's right. Like, it's not worth the explanation at this point.
Like, because he can just coast by on, I'm a guy from a different, you know, place. I just need to get home.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's your Brutaka? I need to...
My Brutaka sense is tingling.
Axon was right there. He could have just asked him.
Anyway, Jala is explaining that, so like we said, he's a Toa Mari at this point, and he explains that the Toa Mari haven't been popular since the incident.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's interesting, or he finds it high praise that Takanuva wants to speak to him specifically, that he sought him out. And they talk about, Jala basically explains that Matoro hasn't like been seen for 6,000 years, and Takanuva's like, wait, Matoro? And again, remember that this happens just after Matoro would have pretty soon after Matoro would have sacrificed himself in the main timeline.
line, this would have been like, days, weeks maybe, since Matoro died.
Anyway, so he's like asking questions, but Jala's like, bro, if you just want to know everything, there's a wall of history in every district. He's like,
Kopeke or whatever.
I can
Made
never
sure
remember
of that. So I'm like, wait, so he was still the Chronicler?
You know what would have been really cool? If instead of them being the Toa Mari, they were like a different Toa team, but they were still like Toa whatever Jaller. Like if Bionicle were to have continued and they just kind of subtly hinted at an alternate Toa team that formed after the Mari, like hint at a future variant of the Toa team instead of them being stuck at the Mari. Because then in a way that kind of makes it feel like they're never going to evolve past Mari. You know, it feels like a standstill of their character.
I see what you're saying. It would have been interesting to see if they had progressed past the Toa Mari, like had a second evolution. But I think that it makes sense in the context of the story why they wouldn't have actually moved past the Mari, given their disgraced position.
Yeah,
Nah,
which we'll
that's
see.
fair.
Yeah.
But like so many other things have done, like a lot of other like franchises have subtly hinted at certain things like that. And it would have been really interesting if they had done that, you know? Because then it leads to a lot of speculation and all that kind of thing.
I think the cool way to do it would be to have him go to another universe where all the Toa teams there that we know of have gotten an additional evolution, right?
Indeed.
It's like the Toa Nuva would be even further beyond. The Toa Mari would be like the Toa Amphi, because now they can go on land or water, okay? The Toa Triathlon, they can go on land, water, and bikes, the ultimate thing.
The Toa Nuva Pro Max.
And then, yeah. And then the Turaga wouldn't be such losers, okay? I think that would be a cooler way to do it. Not that your way isn't cool.
No, but I never really put it together that there's only ever 2 evolutions of a single Toa team.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically Takanuva's like, okay, see you later, bro. I'm going to go do a lot
I'm
of
going to
reading.
go look at a wall for 5 minutes.
So he reads, like, he gets to the wall and he's reading it, and it's talking about how 10,000 years ago, which is actually a huge time, like, time period that we've seen them grow, or like, it seems strange to have 10,000 years in between the event, the current timeline.
And it's especially weird because now it definitely confirms that alternate dimensions have a different time scale.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah. But basically it says 10,000 years ago, Motoro hesitated when he was racing down after Voyanui. And in the moments that he hesitated, it was too much, and Voyanui sealed the gap into Karda Nui. And so he wasn't able to fall into Karda Nui and put the mask on to actually revive the Great Spirit. And so that's why Motoro and the Mari are disgraced. And so basically what happened is the Great Spirit dies because he can't be revived. And the Turaga are like, that's fine. Well, not fine, but they're like, we have an evacuation plan.
The Turaga of this universe were actually competent. They're like, okay, we're not just going to sit and mope around like we did in the main line. We have a plan B to just evacuate every single person.
Which is crazy. And it's actually really, really crazy when you think about the time scale. It's like, wow, how did you manage to pull that off?
Yeah.
I just want to interject here. It's very interesting that Turaga Doom is nowhere to be seen in this thing. I'm pretty sure he's still stuck in a Torrent pod or something. I'm like,
no, Turaga Doom was like, let him die! Let him all rot! And so they had to like toss him out into the sea. They had Vaki remove his free will, and then they put him in a pod. Then they sunk that pod to the bottom of the ocean like Akmu.
And then Makuta doesn't even like try to corrupt him or anything like he did with Akmu in the exact same
Makuta's
situation.
like, bro is already corrupt.
Everyone's just so fed up with Turaga Doom at this point. Like he's just still he's on the other side of Aqua Magna at this point.
Yeah. See, Makuta doesn't want to release him because he feels like he would be an actual threat to his power.
He's like, there's way too much competition.
Like, exactly.
I mean, there's a reason Makuta impersonated Duma, right?
That's true. Good point.
You must walk a mile in another's shoes to know how truly evil he is.
Anyway, so they were like, okay, let's get everybody out. And so, and this included virtually all species. So it wasn't like, oh, we're just getting the Matoran out. It was like, no, we had an entire universe-wide evacuation plan.
They call up the Vortex like, you guys like living? They're like, heck yeah! They call up the Zyglak, better start swimming or better start dying.
Exactly.
Zyglak were just too stubborn. We're like, hell nah. we'll die.
Yeah, no, the Zyglak were really like, well, we'd rather die.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So one of the few species that just outright refused, well, one of the two. One of the two that outright refused was the Zyglak, because they're like, we don't want any help from the Matoran. And then the other one was the Makuta, because
obviously
the Makuta didn't actually strictly refuse. They were forced to refuse.
Yeah, they tried to go up. They're like, hey guys, can we go up? And they're like, no. You break it, you buy it.
So that's why it's 10,000 years later. Makuta, the 20-foot tall Makuta, is still repaying his debt. That's why he's not allowed inside, you know?
Yeah.
The Vortex are keeping track of the debt, but they're like, the interest is faster than you can pay it off, Terry boy.
The interest is at 120%. What?
They're like, by this time, you're going to owe us an entire multiverse, okay?
Makuta looks at Brutaka. That might be feasible.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, the Makuta were forced back down to stay in the dead universe.
Which is such a cool concept.
Yeah. So, then Takanuva. So at this point, Takanuva was not a Turaga. He was still a Toa, like we would expect at that time period.
Correct.
So as they escape and flee to the surface, they're like, we could probably use some more defenders. So Takanuva gives up his power to make 6 new Toa.
Correct.
And so thus he becomes Turaga Takanuva. And the Matoran that he chose were Kapura, Balta, Dalu, Velika, Defilak, and Tanma. Which is really interesting because at this period, we've seen the like Matoran evolving in groups of like
the same groups,
like
right?
Friend group essentially, right? And it's like, so it's very interesting to have such a mix because you would expect, just do the whole Matoran resistance. I did just realize some major flaw with something in here. But anyway, but you have Balta, Dalu, Velika, who are all from the same group. And then Defilak is
from
on
Mara
his
Nui.
own. Yeah, because he was Mara Nui. Tanma, obviously, from Karda Nui.
And then Kapura was such an oddball pick. I'm like, why? He's the guy that moves so slow that he can essentially teleport. I'm like, what? And then you also have Balta, who's also a Tomatoran. So he's like 2 Toa of fire, 1 Toa of water, 1 Toa of stone, 1 Toa of air, and a Toa of light.
Yep.
It's like, what a random mix.
It is a very random mix. But I was like, I was happy that he did something like Greg chose a variety instead of just going with what I would have expected.
I would have done Garen as a Toa rather than Balta.
You see, the reason
that's just
why
me.
the islands are floating apart is because they had no Toa of Earth. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot, you know what I mean?
Dang, yeah, you're right.
That is a really good point.
I mean, yeah, we'll get into it more. But one thing I also want to point out is that we're talking about how cool it would be if Tanma became a Toa of Light in the mainline universe, and here he gets to be a true Toa of Light, and he's the only one since Takanuva becomes a Turaga. I'm like, that is such a cool passing of the torch, essentially.
I do like it. I do have a logistics question. How the heck did Tanma get out of Karda Nui?
He has a jetpack? Duh.
But where did he get out? The portal?
The portal.
But why didn't they just, if they knew...
And the Makuta had found the portal before Voinui even hit.
Yes, so my question is, though, if they knew where the portal was, and there is clearly some gap between the Great Spirit dying and being able to be revived, why didn't they just be like, yeah, let's teleport Matoro there? Let's just teleport him into Karda Nui.
Who do you
I
mean?
don't want to breed.
Like Brutaka, the Order, any of the Turaga?
Well, I think because the gap is really small. Like, it was seconds to a minute in the mainline story.
I don't think so. Because they die... It dies before they even start swimming, right?
No, it dies as they're racing down.
So, I mean, it's not really a plot hole because you could just say it took too long. Even if it was 1 minute longer for them to teleport him there, that was 1 minute too long. He's dead. But I just kind of thought, like, well, this is interesting. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, so to lead the city instead of basically taking charge like Duma or it didn't have like a normal structure that we've seen in Bionicle.
Yeah, because since it's
as far as leadership goes,
every species all in one place, and they also note to fit everyone on the island of Madanui, they had to literally expand it with like floating rafts and Onua like doing some stuff to stabilize it.
I can just imagine Onua being waterboarded, held down by 17 ropes spread goal style. Just kind of like...
Wait, who is?
And just imagine Onua just like being used as a stepping stone, kind of. You know what I mean? The way you described it just now.
They're like, you have to do this.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to.
This is your duty.
I don't want to use my head.
Anyway.
You need to attach the island to something that spins around.
Exactly. So Turaga Takanuva forms a council to lead the city. And the council... Oh, wait. So Duma is here. That's why I thought. I was like, I vaguely remember Duma being in this one.
Arthur was just throwing you off.
Gotcha. So the council is made up of Turaga Duma, Nektan, as in the Skak,
The warlord.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because in the story it just says a Skakti warlord, right?
Yes.
It
but,
does.
Biosector has it as Nektan.
Okay. And is that confirmed, or is that
I'm
just
assuming it's a
Biosector's?
grade quote. I didn't confirm it. I'll go back and check if it's not.
Okay, take that with a grain of salt. But Nektan, Rudaka, the
Shadowed
Shadowed One,
One.
Helrix, and the Ninra Ghost.
Which is the most random assortment.
And imagine going on vacation and then like getting the worst nickname possible, Nektan, because you got sunburned a bit too much.
Because like some of these make sense. Shadowed One makes sense. Helrix makes sense because they're the organizations, right? And during the evacuation, it also says that the Order of Matanui revealed themselves and helped get people out.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I can understand why they'd be on the council. Nektan wasn't even the most powerful warlord on Zakis, so I don't know how he got the job. Rudaka, I have zero clue. I'm like, she's evil.
I think it's just because Greg loves Rudaka.
Was she not in prison though?
Yeah,
Is Rudaka not in prison at the time of this? Because like the whole Suicide
because
Squad.
Federation of Fear is
knockoff.
after. Yeah, she would have been in the pit.
Exactly.
So did the Order of Matanui evacuate everyone from the pit?
I mean, it does say that there are only 2 groups that
And apparently
didn't
make
make
them,
it
like,
out.
leaders.
So
That's crazy. Whatever. Anyway.
that is actually crazy.
And then having a random Ninra ghost, I'm like, what is with this? Like, I don't understand. They're not like a political force in the universe at all. And
Maybe they just wanted like a very technical thinker.
yeah, but I guess.
I mean, if you're working on like citywide projects,
Grab Artaka. Put him on the council.
yeah, where is Artaka
yeah,
in all
Artaka's
of
not
this?
here the whole time.
He's just teleporting around the universe. Artaka's grand
He's
vacation.
trapped in a cave with a box of scraps.
Yeah. So, this just felt like in the X-Men comics, when they formed their new, like, all-mutant society called Krakoa, they assemble a council from mutants of every stripe and color, and you're like, okay, what does that mean? Well, it means putting Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister on the council, and you're like, this seems like a bad
not
idea.
a good choice.
Just from the names alone, I don't think I want. And they also put Emma Frost and Magneto and another guy who's like super genocidal against mutants and humans. It was like, what are you doing? Like, this council gives me the same vibe of you're outnumbering yourself with villains. Like, these people are evil. But
That
apparently,
is- yeah.
they're all good in this universe, so whatever. Anyway.
I feel like just really quickly, I feel like the Shadowed One is one where it's like, okay, he could be reasonable in the situation. Rudaka is one where I'm like, no,
never, not at all.
I don't put Rudaka on there.
Daka would be like, we need to build more islands
Yeah.
and give them all to me.
Yeah, and Nektan, I'm like, Skakti just don't seem reasonable enough to rule anything.
Yeah.
But whatever, we never get to see the ramifications of this, although it would be kind of a cool story to write.
I can just imagine Radak being on the council, just ramming through the table every time.
And one thing to note is that the reason the Colosseum is here just is because they built a new Colosseum.
Then straight up,
Yeah.
because why not?
Which is just crazy. They're like, yeah, 3 miles in the sky. We got time.
Where did they get the resources? That's what I want to know.
I mean, Toa can just generate resources.
That's a good
If you have one
point.
toe of iron, just wait.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, yeah, so also, like we said, the Dark Hunters became the police force,
yeah.
which is actually really interesting when you consider the Shadowed One's on the council.
Yeah.
And he's presumably still has some leverage over the police force. That's where maybe putting him in that position
They're like, the
is
Shadowed
not
One,
the
are you
best
corrupt?
idea.
He's like, no, I am but a humble administrator of the kingdom. Nothing more. And they're like, sounds good. Yeah, checks out.
Yeah, so, but they were the ones who, like, helped stop Matanui from, like, the island.
The Toa helped stop the island.
Oh, that's right.
Because the island was going to collapse eventually because the universe was dying. And so the Toa, especially Onua, helped stabilize the entire thing, which is pretty cool. And then they also expanded the island physically by like making new Earth and floating platforms and structures so that people could build. And I was thinking, well, how much space would they need for this? But it's mentioned that when they evacuated the universe, they saved billions of lives, which I'm like, I did not think the Matoran universe had that many people in it, right?
Especially when Metra Nui only has
1,000
1,000 Matoran.
Yeah. I like to imagine that as they were leaving, someone accidentally left a switch on the Matoran making machine on, and it's just like pumping up. They're like, where are all these guys coming from?
It's a situation of, oops, Altakua.
Oh.
So I just thought that was cool.
No, but I'm curious though.
Go ahead.
I'm curious though. If you have like Fae Matoran and like Toa of Iron and all that, why are they having a problem of, not having enough like material to keep the island afloat, Can't you just like infinitely generate structure?
I mean, we do see them like generate structure, presumably, because that's how they expand the island and strengthen it. I'm guessing is that the way Toa create materials is not super structurally sound, right? Because obviously it's sound enough. It's lasted 10,000 years, but it could also be just an after effect from the universe dying, where it's just like nothing is super stable. That, or it could also be the fact that they're on the surface of Aqua Magna, which is not a good place to be, really. Like all the waves and wind and whatever. Like we saw on Voya Nui, it can get pretty crazy up there.
Yeah.
So that's my only guess, really.
Now my question is, how deep is the water of Aqua Magna?
Really deep. Like, without going into Chroniclers Corner, it's deep.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Okay.
I also might have an idea, but it's Chroniclers Corner.
Yeah.
Speaking to, like, why Meta
Yeah, if
Nui
you want to
would-
make Chroniclers Corner, put that in there so we can talk about that.
How about we discuss it now and then just cut it into the Chronicles Corner?
We get there when we get there. But going back to it,
Man.
Takanuva is like, wow, this place is actually really nice because the races are living in harmony. They're very cool and chill. But I have to leave and go, tell the Toa Nuva that they're all gonna die. So that's kind of his impetus for the story. But he was kind of, because obviously it reveals that Matoro failed to save the Great Spirit. And so he was like, it's kind of weird how much happiness came from his failure. It's like, I wonder, should Matoro have failed in my universe? Just kind of, he doesn't obviously think that, but it's just kind of a funny thought. And then he goes and visits.
It just cuts to Matoro being like super depressed with a gun in his mouth.
Yeah. That's kind of how it is, really. Because then Takanuva goes and visits Turaga Takanuva. And so as he goes in and meets him, the Turaga is in the middle of meeting where he's talking with Rudaka and Tanma about a Rakshi showing up in the city. And he said it was found by some Fae Matoran who were going to feed Avak and Thok at the Paraka fountain. And I was super confused because I'm like, what do they mean? I'm like, oh, they would have been aquatic snakes at this time. So they're just keeping all the Paraka in a fountain and feeding them like animals at a zoo. They're fully sentient. That's crazy.
That's insane.
This once again shows that if you are in any way mutated, the Matoran will treat you like scum, like garbage. They see you as like barely worth living. It's nuts.
First it's the archives, now it's the fountain. The Paraka fountain.
Exactly.
That's actually crazy.
I know.
Well, and also the crazier part is we know the Paraka are still dangerous in that state.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Because they still have like their mental powers.
they still have
and-
their mental abilities.
So it's like, okay.
Like, okay, that's a risk, but sure.
Yeah.
If you think you have it under control, I guess.
Yeah. So if you want to take it
What
down.
are they gonna do? Escape from like the little aquarium they're in? And
Yeah.
then just like die?
To Aqua Magna and just be like, this is an entire ocean.
So, yeah. So
But
basically,
it's like a completely barren ocean. Everything has been, moved to the island, including all the Gadunka and everything. You know what I mean? Like the giant 300-foot eel is on the island and everything.
The Hydruka are
They have
still
the
there.
whole Aqua Magna. Oh, the Zyglak as well.
Yeah.
yeah. So since they were chasing down the Rakshi, they're hypothesizing. They're like, well, maybe the light barrier around the city is failing, and that's how the Rakshi got through. So they're like, we'll go investigate. But also, Takanuva says that the island, that's where he's explained, the island's kind of coming apart, even though Onua's like has been trying his best, but there's only so much that they can do.
I imagine it's an atlas like holding up the sky sort of thing, where like the island is only held together by him constantly using his elemental power, which sounds cool as heck.
It does sound cool, but also super strenuous.
Yeah. And we never get to see it. No Onua, what is with this? L alternate universe.
Anyway, basically they're like, we need to either find a different place to live on the surface of Aqua Magna, which we don't know is called Aqua Magna at the time, or he's like, or hopefully Nuju and Nuperu's experiment, or I can't remember the exact word, like something along those lines. Their project is successful, which presumably is
they're saying they're hoping this project
Space Force
will send them to the stars.
And
it's like, Nuju and Nuperu have a space program? That's crazy. Imagine Nuperu's like, finally, I've made a spaceship. And then the spaceship is like, I want to kill people. Like, that would be very in line with Nuperu's creations. Oh my god,
it all makes sense now. The N in NASA stands for Nuperu.
Genius.
Nuperu and Nuju's aeronautics space boxers.
Anyway, so while they're trying to find a solution, Takanuva is like, I need to go home. And Takanuva is like, hey, well, before you leave, can you help us figure out what's going on, how the Rockshi are getting through, because we need to make sure it's safe. And so Takanuva,
if he does that, they'll send him back.
It was conditional. And Takanuva is like, okay, yeah, I can do that.
Seems fine to me.
There's no other option, really. And so they are like, okay, great, let's go talk to these guys. And so they take him to this weird hut sort of thing where they knock on the door, and this Torin is like looking at them, and he's like, what's the password? It was very Tangled. And I was like, did Tangled steal this from Greg Parstein?
Of course
I'm
it
pretty
did.
sure they did. Anyway, and so
and then Takanuva was like, I'll kill you if you don't let me in, essentially. He didn't say that, but
that was the effect. And
he said he was gonna destroy his house and put a park there if he didn't let him in.
That's what it was. And he's like, close enough. Lets him in. Anyway,
he's like, I'm gonna sick the Borok on you.
Yeah. That's what it was.
So they work their way back to the back room, where there's a bunch of like
rooms?
Tinkerers and just junk everywhere, and they're like building these different things, and so it's like,
some
these
of
are
the junk
Ninra
laying
ghosts.
around, it is mentioned, are Visorak battle ram parts,
which
implies that the Visorak battle ram has held its monetary value for 10,000 years and is still the standard currency.
Yep.
That's exactly what that implies, nothing else. Kreka upscale.
There's just cane pixels in the background.
Yeah.
Because the back room. Anyway.
This Visorak battle ram is 20 years old. But I also think it's funny. I'm like, what is Greg's obsession with the Visorak battle ram? Like, it's the worst weapon of all time.
But it's cool, Thomas.
It's just funny.
He's running purely on cool factor.
Yeah.
Anyway, Takanuva at some point, I don't remember. I think this was the impetus for why they went to the Ninra Ghost, because he's like, can I have my staff back? And Takanuva's like, bro,
that's 10,000 years out of date.
Like, we got way better stuff
Get
now.
with the times.
So anyway, so they go to the Ninra Ghost, and they're like, yep, here, hold on, let me look through. And then he pulls out this staff, and he's like, here, take this. And he's like, just use the tiniest bit of your elemental power and aim at the wall right there. And so Takanuva does, and it just absolutely obliterates the wall.
It blows a Kanoka-sized hole in the wall.
Yeah, and it says that Takanuva is concentrating to use the absolute smallest amount of his power he's ever used.
The amount of power he used was not enough to even singe something, is what he said.
Yeah. So, basically...
Man, this is starting to become like, you know, those memes in 2016 of like Shaggy using 1% of his power. Or something, you know?
Takanuva uses 1% of his power. Which we'll get to, because I have some serious questions about this. But anyway, the Ninra Ghost explains that it doesn't just channel the power, the elemental power, it amplifies it. which makes
Which
sense.
is useful since Takanuva can't regen his life.
Exactly. Yep.
And they also give him a Midax Sky
Which
Blaster.
is very, very, very convenient.
And they're like, oh yeah, we just made this like yesterday. And it's like, okay, bro. Sure.
Yeah, I just think that's so funny. It's very, like, it gives off the same vibe when you watch a prequel story. I'm thinking of Solo in particular, where it's like, we have to explain literally everything fascinating about Han Solo, how he gets his name, how he gets his blaster, how he meets Chewbacca, and you're like, all in the same series of events, right? It's not through the course of his life.
The
it's
Nimmer
like,
Ghost asks him, they're like, okay, so Takua, what Toa team do you belong to? Do you have a people? He's like, the Nuva. They're like, Takanuva.
Exactly. But because of course they were limited, like he had to get his weapon somehow that he had in the sets.
Yeah.
So they have to shoehorn that in. But it's just so funny because it's like, wow, really subtle there.
Yeah. But then they go to check on the light barrier. But
Yeah.
before they do,
Oh yeah. So they're going to go to the light barrier, and Takanuva's like, I want to go speak to Motoro first. And Tanma is with Takanuva at this point. So I don't know where Turaga Takanuva went. I don't remember if it mentions, but he's back to his duties.
Yeah.
And Tanma is on Takanuva's team here.
Yeah.
And so Tanma's like, I hate Motoro. I don't want to like have
I
him.
don't want
I
to
don't want
look
to be
at him.
anywhere near him, right? And Takanuva's like, fine, I'm going to Motoro alone. So he does go to Powahi, which is where Motoro is, which is strange because he's thinking, oh, he'll be in Kowahi with all the other...
But all the Matoran there hated his guts, so they kicked him out.
Yeah. So, which is actually really
Matoran
sad.
are so cruel, man.
And basically he
Man,
goes...
it gets to the point where they just throw anything into the caves in Powa.
Yeah, that's what
including
I was
Motoro.
thinking. I'm like, how thematic that he's in Powahi caves.
Yeah. So sad. Takanuva speaks to Motoro, though, and he's like, look, I know that you are a failure in the eyes of this society. He's like, but where I come from, you are a hero,
Not
right?
just any hero, the greatest hero to ever bear the title of Toa.
Yeah, and so he's like, I know you would have done anything to save the universe. And so he convinces him, essentially, to come with him, right? Take up the mantle. And because he's like, you have a second chance. If you come with me and help me... Sorry, you can.
I was going to say, there's some cool quotes here, and it says, Takanuva, overcome with emotion, had to stop talking. Here was Motoro, who was dead in his universe, having sacrificed himself to save Matanui and every other living thing. Here he was, alive, but dead inside, knowing he had failed his people when it mattered most. Motoro looked up at him. Who are you? No one in the kingdom talks about me that way. I'm from another kingdom, Takanuva answered, one where people think of you as a hero. I was like, okay, that's some good stuff. So that kind of convinces them to come along.
So, exactly. So Motoro joins their team. They go back, and Tanma's not happy about it because Tanma's Tanma.
I mean, understandably so. Like, Motoro, in this universe, he hesitated to do it right. It's like, oh, ugh. Pretty brutal stuff.
Anyway, so they go to the Powahi tunnels, and they're like, this is the most likely spot that the Rakshi came from, and they're looking for it. They want to go to the light barrier, and they're like, just to make sure. And so they go check the light barrier, and Takanuva's like, no, it's still good. There's no problem here. And then they're like, well, maybe the Rakshi got through in a different way, right?
Yeah.
And then conveniently, so they turn around, Tanma and Takanuva start heading back, and Motoro's not following them. And then they are like, what's going on? And they hear like shouts, and they come back, and Motoro's fighting for Rakshi by himself. And it says that they're like coated in
the thick armor of shadow.
Yeah.
And as they walk through the light barrier, it
disintegrates the armor, but keeps the Rakshi intact.
Which I'm like, what an evocative image. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So then they defeat the Rakshi, obviously, because it's 4 Rakshi against 2 Toa of Light and Motoro. It's like, what are you gonna do? But then they hear the voice of Makuta Pterodax.
Which I think it's funny, sorry, really quickly, in both Dark Mirror and the Kingdom universe, or the Kingdom, they describe him as the Makuta of Metronui first. And in Dark Mirror, they don't even call him Pterodax, I don't think, at all. But in this one, they finally do refer to him as Pterodax after they call him
I think they call him
Makuta
Pterodax
Markjuly.
in Dark Mirror.
Maybe they
but
do.
I could be wrong. Anyway, but they hear his voice, and you can read the quotes if you want.
Yeah. You, said Matoro, his voice shaking. Why aren't you dead? So many others died. Why not you? What is there left when the light dies, Toa? Darkness. Only darkness. My hatred will not let me die. Hatred of Matanui. Hatred of all who escaped the end of this universe. Most of all, Matoro. Hatred of you. You turned away from your destiny. Matanui was meant to cheat death. Instead, I was cheated of my revenge.
Like, that's a cool speech right there.
Yeah. Well, and it helps explain something because I was like, wait a second. Matoro, the Great Spirit dies. Matoro doesn't save him. Why does Makuta not take over? But then I realized, oh, yeah. So his plan was not for the Great Spirit to die.
Correct.
His plan was for the Great Spirit to be revived. So in that revival, he would be able to seep in and take over. And I'm like, that explains.
I'll just waltz in and take over.
Exactly. And so I was like, oh, that makes way more sense.
Yeah. And then Makuta walks through the barrier, also clad in the massive shadow armor.
Yep.
And he's 20 feet tall and giant, and he has all the different pieces of the other Makuta as part of his body.
Yeah, so he explains it. He's like, yep, while I was down there, I just ate them all up.
Yeah. And he used all of their knowledge to create the shadow barriers that the Raksha are using to get through.
Does this mean that the mass of all 100 Makuta leads to a 20-foot tall figure?
I'm assuming he's very dense as well.
He's packing away into his...
he's probably just
sure
that...
Pterodax is pretty smart.
That's probably just as tall as the tunnel can be, and the rest is in a pocket dimension waiting for him to just zoom it out.
That's what I was going to say, is he's using his pocket dimension for the rest of it.
Although if we go by the mock of the Kingdom Pterodax that we saw, like, I think that would be the mass of 100 Makuta.
I mean, yeah, so I guess it's not unreasonable because depending on, like,
square cube law going like crazy.
Thinking of a 20-foot tall person who's fairly well proportioned would be huge. Like, they would be a lot heavier.
And we know he's not fairly well proportioned because he's like a hulking monstrosity.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So he's like actually just insanely ripped effectively in terms of his bulk.
Batil is my bicep.
Yeah. And so it's like, I think you might actually be able to fit like 90 Makuta into him.
Yeah.
So
it's not that crazy. Yeah, you're right.
What type of proportion are we talking about? Are we talking about Fantoka Pohatu proportions or worse?
We're talking about like absolute Bane proportions over here.
Yeah. Like tree trunks, General Sherman's for legs, you know? For all those knowledgeable Sequoia tree fans out there.
Anyone a fan of Sequoia National Park, you get it. Anyway, and he's tanking every hit that the Toa... Like, they're shooting beams of light.
Okay, so this is where I was going to say, this drives me insane that Takanuva's most minute bit of power absolutely devastates a wall. But when he actually, like, unleashes his power, Makuta's like, I can take it. I'm like, they made it sound like if he were to use his full power, it would just basically destroy an island. And it's like, nope, Makuta's just fine. It drives me insane.
I didn't have so much of a problem with it because we've just seen that Makuta can make shadow armor that can walk through walls of solid lasers, right?
That's true. And it would have been cool if it showed him like manifesting the darkness in spots to block the light.
Or you could also say that his armor is now so thick, like lasers aren't getting through it because it's also proto-steel armor, remember? So if it's like 3 feet of proto-steel armor with the darkness elemental blocking stuff, I can justify that. It's still stupid, and I would have liked to see Takanuva go nuts.
Major problems with it. I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. I'll accept it for now.
It's crazy though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Takanuva at this point is using the power of a sun in the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
And not even
exactly.
You know.
So while they're fighting, Takanuva takes a good shot and knocks the Krakan off of Kuta's face.
Which is smart, because we were talking about that kind of earlier. Why don't people knock their masks off more? I'm like, well, it's easier to just one-shot them. But in the case that you can't one-shot them, he does knock the mask off.
Yep. So then Tenma's like, I'm going for it, and he melts it to slag.
Yeah, like he slides in and melts the Krakan to just absolute dust as Makuta was reaching down to pick it up.
Oh my god, guys, is this a reference to 2001 Bionicle where you have to knock off the mask?
Oh.
I don't know if
We've come full circle.
Lego would ever reference Bionicle.
Yeah.
In
Bionicle
this universe,
referencing
in
Bionicle.
this economy?
It's an Ouroboros.
Exactly. Anyway, so he grabs Tenma and just...
Yeah, it says he just scoops him up in his massive hand and then triggers the shattering power.
Is it shattering? Mm-hmm. Okay. It said Pawn Rock, so yeah.
And it said Takanuva was so horrified he had to look away. And how I imagined it is that he like scoops him up and like, you know when Superman like cups a grenade in his hand and then it explodes?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I imagined it happening. Like he just slurps up Tanma and then boom! And then just like leaves a shattered corpse.
Super cool if he had shattered him and like to essentially dust and then just
blew
looked
it
at Takanuva and blew it
That
at
would have
him.
been too far. That would have been like when Asajj stabs the clone and then kisses him. That's like, that's crazy. That got through
With
the
all
censors.
due respect, you guys are both wrong. The way it happens is he gets picked up and then the Lego breaking sound effect happens.
Yoda death sound.
Yeah, exactly.
The Yoda death sound followed by like the Lego bricks falling apart.
Yeah.
From the Lego games.
That would be pretty funny.
There's no other way that happened.
Yeah. I thought this was one of the craziest deaths in Bionicle. Just having someone like shattered.
Well, not just someone, a Toa.
A Toa.
Like we've never seen a Toa just absolutely crushed.
Yeah,
like
just
that.
get one shot, just boom. I don't know, it's just the way it was
Fast
described
forward
was so
2
visceral.
hours in this recording, we see Toa Tuyet get cut in half by a portal.
Yeah. These in Dark Mirror especially, we get a lot of crazy deaths, okay?
Yeah, I guess this one was just shocking in its like brutality, I guess.
It was, I know, I really liked it though. You're like, holy cow, the stakes are real.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of
Cliff Jumper?
Gregor. Not Star Wars Gregor. Gregor the Overlander with Pandora. Where it's like, you're not expecting, you're like, oh yeah, surely Tenma's not gonna die
No
here.
spoilers for Gregor the Overlander, Samuel.
That 20-year-old book series, I don't think it's quite that old, but it's 15 years old probably at this point. Anyway,
so then Makuta reads Takanuva's mind and says that Motoro died in Takanuva's universe, meaning that Takanuva must have fled before Makuta's reign began. And then, obviously, Makuta's talking this, and Motoro's like, I died? Yes, Takanuva replied. You did. You gave your life so billions could live. In my universe, you are considered the greatest hero ever to bear the title of Toa. And so Motoro's like, hey, you know, that's pretty cool. He got a bit of a self-confidence boost, and then we can...
Yeah, so then Makuta uses his shadow hand to grab Motoro, and Motoro doesn't even try to resist, and Takanuva's like, what are you doing? And Motoro just gets absorbed, and so then Takanuva's like, okay, I should probably get out of here, right? And then he sees Makuta like stagger and kind of just, he's swaying about, and then he's like yelling, and then he's like, my will is stronger, and then you hear Motoro's voice coming from Makuta. Do you want to read this, or do you want?
And Motoro says, no, Makuta, you once told the Toamata that you could not be destroyed because you were nothing. You were wrong. It is because you are nothing that I can destroy you. You have no heart. You have no spirit. You have no reason to exist. Even your hate is a pale reflection of what once burned in you. You survived out of habit, monster, and habits and minds can be broken. And then Makuta lets out this ginormous scream for a while, and then just flops down and dies. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And Takanuva even checks the tunnel. He floods it with light to look for antidermis, and there's nothing. Which I'm like, hey, that's a cool, logical way to check it. I just like the little logical consistencies in the story.
I do want to know, how did Motoro kill Makuta just from his mind? Like, I could understand how he could break Makuta and then dominate Makuta's body, thus allowing Takanuva to destroy the body. But I don't really understand how he just is like, he's dead.
He just gave up the will to live.
I guess.
He got control of the body, right? And he's like looking for the self-destruct button, and then I think he got it.
I just find it so jarring in a really funny way how Matoro's voice comes out of like a 20-foot tall behemoth. It's like the equivalent of Kermit's voice coming out of a tank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
it's like,
that's a good
it gives
point.
such a goofy visual.
Yeah. And then one cool quote to wrap it up is, Teragavakama had once told Takanuva that when a Makuta absorbs a body, he must crush the will of his victim immediately. Otherwise, he risks other minds intruding upon his own. Matoro had heard the same tales. He had known if Makuta absorbed him, he could fight him from within. At one time, such an effort would have been impossible. Makuta's will would have been too strong. But Matoro had been right. Makuta truly had nothing to live for. He survived and plotted his vengeance, but it was a hollow pursuit. He had lusted for control of a universe only to see that universe destroyed, and there was no place for him in the kingdom. Dun dun dun. And then Takanuva oversees a statue of Matoro getting built.
He's like, all right, Brutaka,
Is this
I'm ready to go.
Kreka upscale?
Yeah.
Because, or rather downscale?
No,
There is
This
no
is a-
downscale
this was a
for
weaker
Kreka.
Makuta, so,
No. You don't know. I don't believe you. Kreka would have beat Makuta in his mind, but like Matoro does, it's not adding up.
I never said
I know
Kreka's
he's-
mind was strong,
I
just
know.
his body.
You make a very solid point.
And I also like to believe that Hafu carved the statue of Matoro, because we had Kopik doing the Chronicler stuff. We had Kapuro being a Toa. Might as well have Hafu complete the trio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of this story?
I read this one after Darkmere, and it was completely different.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I was like, oh, it's interesting having a universe where, well, we'll see in Darkmere, where things didn't go horrifically bad.
Yeah. Well,
Right,
it
like-
kind of starts a trend of other universes being like, I think you live in the worst timeline.
Yeah. And so I liked that because I thought it was done in a way that was a nice combination of tragedy and triumph, right? So it's like ultimately the good guys are going to win here and they are still in the best position to survive. But it's not like it was all sunshine and rainbows, right? Like the Great Spirit died, right?
Yeah.
Like they had to abandon their universe and they were trapped on an island that was also dying. And so it's like, I think that made it really interesting where it's like, okay, there's hope and there's hope beyond just like a rebellion. It's like they have established a
they have
civilization and
plans.
community and they know their problems and they're working to solve them. And it's interesting that the Makuta are not one of the major issues that they're facing at the moment, which is just very
I know,
different.
it's just one issue that
Yeah.
they're facing, right? Like it's well done. It's believable.
Yeah. So I thought it was a nice change of pace and just a nice change of pace from a lot of different multiverse sort of stories where it's like, something's always bad, or if it's a utopia, there's some like
Crazy. Oh, they're actually evil.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought that this was just a breath of fresh air in that regard.
And also
so.
had a literally different pace because it's just two giant chunks of a story rather than how the serials are normally written,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is much more breakneck. Like this one, it's like I got a complete story that I could digest, and it was really nice because you don't get that often in Bionicle.
Yep.
Now we go to Journey of Takanuva, which was a book written for like 5-year-olds. And it's really short. It's like 27 pages, and there's like one short paragraph per page.
I like
It's
how
literally
on,
just one sentence.
Yeah.
on the like cover of the book, it's the level 3 reader, which like so many people would be familiar with, but it says 700 to 1500 words, which to put it in perspective is like a 2-page essay.
Yeah. So it starts with Takanuva landing in a strange, twisted forest. This will actually have zero relevance to the story. and a giant spectral floating mask shows up and asks Takanuva for help in exchange for helping him. And Takanuva's like,
For
okay.
context, it's a floating spectral how.
Yeah. How? Also, the fact that it's a giant floating mask
Which
also has no bearing on the
is
story.
quickly going to randomly, tag the donations page and the art of the week because there is an illustration of a Kanohi How on there.
That's a very good
that you
point.
can get for free.
But we interrupt your regularly scheduled Barraki talk show to bring you Art of the Week, where our talented in-house artists, Jared, Arthur, and Samuel, bring Bionicle to life in their own unique ways. If you want to obtain these wonderful pieces of art permanently and in high quality, simply go to the Ko-fi link in the description of this episode, where you can download this week's art and all past weeks for free. But if you like this art and you want to see more, consider supporting the Barraki Talk Show. We greatly appreciate it because this channel is only made possible thanks to viewers like you. Thank you. But now, let's continue with your regularly scheduled Barraki Talk Show. Is it giant, spectral, and floating?
I can illustrate one of those for you if you want.
I would like
You
to
just go to
point
the
out
image, turn the transparency down.
really quickly here that
That's
pages.
not how that works in the slightest. I hope you understand.
Sorry, you turned the opacity down.
Now you're talking.
What are you saying, so?
If you look at the illustrations in this book, on page 6 where you see the how the first time, you see the how again on page 8, and they're literally
The exact
it's
same
copy and
pose.
pasted.
It's the reused illustration.
It's just so funny. I'm like, yep, that's on brand. Anyway,
Yeah. So it's like there's a village that's in trouble over there, and Takanuva's like, got it, okay, and runs off. And the How is like, but whatever. It's like, okay, bro. And Takanuva goes over the hill thinking it's gonna be a village, but instead it's a massive city of silver and crystal that like the towers reach into the sky. This also has zero importance on the story. Very few things in the story actually matter.
let's
it's just
be
set
honest,
dressing.
they just wanted to draw pretty pictures for little kids.
True. So then, as he reaches the city, a massive monster is attacking the Matoran-like citizens that are inside of it.
Like,
Yeah, they're not Matoran.
yeah.
They're clearly not Matoran, much like Botar's replacement. So Takanuva goes and he fights the monster, and as he's doing it, the monster's like, no, stop, you got it all wrong. And Takanuva's like, that's strange, but monsters talk occasionally. Blam, 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 eat light and shadow, freak. I mean, the Tatorok could talk, so he's not too far off.
That's a good
And he's like, it must be trying to trick me, Takanuva said to himself. I know an evil monster when I see one. So he drives it off and then turns back to the Matoran.
Casual racism from time.
Yeah. So once he drives off the monster, he turns back to the Matoran-like things, the villagers, and they close the gates on him and then start laughing at him. He's like, what the heck? And it
You also
says,
forgot to mention that Takanuva, while the creature was running away, shot the sun into him. So he's like just half dead running into the forest.
wait, he shot the sun into him? What do you mean?
No, I'm exaggerating
Oh,
a bit.
okay.
It says, as the creature is running away, he hits him with like a massive like light beam, and he has like the fully upgraded light spear and all that stuff.
That's a good
Just think
point.
about like how fried this creature is while running into the woods.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
Yeah. This creature must upscale like crazy. Anyway, so then we have a quote here after he gets shut out. The Toe of Light was puzzled, confused, and a little hurt. He had risked his life to save them, and they hadn't even said thank you. Like, these guys are jerks, but also they could just be normal Matoran, because Matoran are jerks. And so he goes back to the mask kind of dejected, saying that he helped the city. And the mask is like, bro, I was trying to tell you, the monster was the last resident of the city, and the little creatures who are later confirmed to be Castora, which are just a different
interesting.
Matoran-like species,
Huh.
those were the invaders. And Takanuva's like, I shouldn't have judged by appearances. Now I gotta go fix this. He's learned a valuable lesson, you see. And so he goes to the monster, they make a plan, and Takanuva goes back to the outside of the city. And what he does is he puts on the coolest fireworks show of all time, which I'm like, that is a cool and unique use of light powers. But we know light can change the color spectrum and can obviously, do stuff. So I really liked that use of his abilities. And when it says the coolest fireworks show of all time, I mean the entire invading population of the city comes out to go watch the fireworks.
That must be the greatest fireworks show.
I'm like, they weren't exaggerating. This is the greatest fireworks show of all time. And so, as they're doing that, the monster sneaks into the city and shuts the gate, and he's like, it's mine now. I still don't know how he's going to defend the city from all of these guys, because it's city size. Like, I feel like they can just climb over the walls or whatever, but it's very unclear on the city's defensive. And so then Takanuva's like, and then he goes back to the mask, and he's like, I did it. And the mask is like, nice job, and opens a portal for him. However, he does ask before he goes through the portal, he's like, is this the way home? And the mask says, it is the way you must travel, but beware, you may find that not everything is what it seems on your way. Remember, good and evil can be found in the deeds of others, not in their appearance. And then Takanuva's like, okay, thanks. And then he goes on through. And so, what did we learn from this story? I hope the lesson is very clear.
Don't talk to floating, opaque, what? That's
floating
really
spectral
weird.
masks.
I was gonna say it's really weird that opacity, I would assume has the same root as opaque, but opaque means not transparent, right?
Yeah.
So sorry. Don't talk to floating, slightly transparent masks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, opacity is about how opaque something is.
That's true. It's just weird because we often don't talk we wouldn't put it in terms of how opaque it is, even though that is the terminology of opacity, right? You'd be like, this window is mostly clear, right? You wouldn't say
it's low on opaqueness.
This is mostly not opaque. It's but even though it's a common term, you know what I'm saying? It's just not how we would normally speak. It seems backwards, we're almost using the negative when we're talking about opacity. To be honest, I think
this might be a little bit of boxor, but then again, I'm relatively dense and I cannot see through the forest of opacity.
The opacity is at 100%
Just
he can't see through the twisted forest through the spectral mask. It's too much opacity.
There you go.
Anyway, I thought the story was actually pretty good and engaging, but I do like that it's this is for super young people. It starts by literally saying Takanuva's traveled through dimensions and now lands in a new one. I'm like, how are they going to understand the multiverse, bro? It's okay, whatever.
Greg has really high expectations of children.
Yeah.
Which,
good for him, actually. So,
don't dumb it down.
I'm gonna be honest though, when I first read this book, I was 6 and I was able to grasp the concept.
Yeah.
It's not that far off with media and stuff nowadays.
That's true.
No, yeah, I thought it was a bolder choice to make, but one that in retrospect seems totally fine.
Talking about boulders now?
Pohatu's where?
My only complaint is that Takanuva being so rash, doesn't make a whole lot of sense for him, because Takua could be kind of absent-minded, but he was never really, rash. And especially when we get to Takanuva, he's much more understanding.
So, I do have to state, when we get to the order of these, there's a quote by Greg who is because there are some inconsistencies in the way these all line up, and the answer he gives in the order, and he's like, to be honest, I wasn't thinking about the, canonicity or whatever you would say of this story because it was written for 5-year-olds. And I'm so when there are things like that where Takanuva is behaving out of character for what we would expect from him, right? It's clearly he was trying to convey the moral of this story quickly, right? In 700 words. So it's it makes sense that he needs to be rash in this situation to actually learn.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
But I also thought it was weird because we know his evoki can grant empathy and understanding to others. I'm this would have been the perfect time to use that.
That's a very good point.
So that was the only thing that really bugged me. But I think the moral still works fine. And given the time and age constraint, it's feasible enough. It's not character assassination.
Yeah.
And I do remember as Takanuva, when they were traveling through, he was traveling through with the Matoran before they became a Nika, they find a random mask in the hallway, and he's like, here, let me put that on really quick. It's like, you come from an island where infected masks mind control people, bro. Be a little more careful. Although the last time he put on a mask, it turned him into a Toa.
So that's true.
He's like, maybe this will turn me into a Nuva. Come on. Oh.
Takanuva.
He is already technically a Nuva.
Actually, he's technically
He's an
not.
honorary Nuva.
Yeah.
So if you count technically as being part of the team and being an honorary member, then yes, he is technically a Nuva.
But in terms of what
he
made
just
them...
finds a puddle of liquid protodermis. Ooh, this is a mask, right, guys? Just splashes it in his face.
Then he might become a Nuva.
Yeah. Biologically, he's not a Nuva, but societally, he's a Nuva.
Yeah.
He is Toa Nuva.
Toa Nuva. He's a Matoran Nuva.
Exactly.
He's like, I can slack off of work twice as hard as a normal Matoran. Anyway, so now we come to Dark Mirror, the last of these alternate universe tales. And this begins with Takanuva giving an explanation of how he needs to warn the Toa Nuva, and then also explains how the damaged Olmec has teleported him through dimensions. So all of them kind of give a brief recap and explanation of what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
And so on this tale, he lands in a strange version of Markjuly. He's like, is this the kingdom again? I know it. But this is actually Markjuly. And as he looks around, he notices there's a ton of Toa statues, and that the Toa Nuva are still Toa Mata, which is very interesting. And as he's looking around, he notices that all these statues are dominated by a gigantic statue of the Mask of Intangibility. Now, we know a character who has the Mask of Intangibility.
We know exactly
don't we?
one character.
It's Makuta, of course.
Yes.
Right, guys?
Famous for wearing his Mask of Intangibility. That's shaped like the Kirkan and has shadow powers. Genius.
He shapeshifted it. Problem solved.
Oh.
Now, it's just a mask that Akmu sold him when he was recovered from Markjuly in the pod.
Yeah.
Immediately, Akmu went to like, oh, you need a mask, huh?
This mask does
And
not
just, like,
have the
sells-
shadow plague in it. I promise.
It's just a mask of intangibility that looks like a...
Like a Kirkan.
Immediately gets scanned. Then also gets recruited to the dark side. As you do.
Palpatine like, yes, I love masks of intangibility.
How intangible.
And your friends, they will become intangible. This intangibility is fully operational. Imagine if Alderaan could have become intangible. Bet that would have been handy.
Imagine there's like a self-destruct lever at the back of the mask that's hidden behind a vent for some reason. It's just the Death Star on Pterodax's face.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the story. We see Kapura running by, and we know this is strange because Kapura is the super slow guy, right? So Takanuva's like, something's up, and he's like, what is going on, Kapura? And Kapura's like, oh, don't hurt me, Toa. You're the greatest people of all time. Please, am I not working hard enough? Go. And so Takanuva's obviously like, what the heck? And then Tahu and Kopaka show up. And they're like, where's your identity tablet? Who are you? Where are you from? And he's like, what? An identity tablet? I don't have any identity tablet. And so they arrest him immediately for crimes against the Toa Empire. And I'm like, this is very, Andor ripped this off. This is that exact same scene from Andor.
Now, this is like very much like real life nowadays. Late stage capitalism and all that.
Late stage. Jeff Bezos, where's your identity tablet? Give it to me now.
Jeff Bezos to the average worker at Amazon.
Yeah. Did I see you think about going to the bathroom? 10 years in the ISO cubes for you, boy.
For crimes against the Amazon Empire.
We're going to distribute your body to the four corners of the earth.
Wow. That took
To the
a
four
dark
corners
turn.
of this warehouse.
So Takanuva gets thrown into a prison under the Colosseum because the Colosseum has to feature in all these stories, and it's heckin' based. I like to imagine the Colosseum was in the Silver City somewhere. And so, as Takanuva gets thrown into his cell, he notices that someone else is there. And guess who it is? You won't guess. It's Takua, actually. Which I'm like, that's actually an interesting
Takua,
twist.
The Nuva version.
The what?
Takua, the non-Nuva version.
Yeah, just normal Takua. So then Takanuva, he's like, where am I? And Takua says, Metronui, City of Legends. Of course, these days, all the legends end with, and the Toa crushed anyone who got in their way. Based. And so Takua also says that Gali and Karzani are running re-education camps.
Of course.
But Takua is in prison because the Vaki treatment didn't fix his wandering tendencies. So this guy is hard-coded to just be a lazy slacker. That is crazy.
It's not a mental state.
Yeah.
It's like he's
removing his
biologically
free will doesn't even stop him from slacking off. I see why Turaga Vakama banished this kid.
This is proof that free will doesn't exist.
So imagine
he's the top in the competitive class for slacking off. He didn't even make it to the competition.
Division 1 slacking or slacker.
Slackers, yeah. And so I also like that Gali and Karzani are running the re-education camps, because like Karzani, that actually makes sense because his thing was fixing Matoran, and he has the mask of alternate realities that can make you live like thousands of years in an instant, right? So I'm like, that's actually a really good way to re-educate people if you wanted to. And then Gali, of course, is just a normal person with social skills, so she could be like the carrot to Karzani's stick.
Exactly.
So Takanuva asked when things went crazy, because he's like, obviously, this is heckin' nuts. And Takua says, 3,500 years ago, Toyet, I'm just gonna say Tuyet, it's so much cooler. Tuyet got the
Tuyet is correct. Toyet's the way we used to say it.
Whatever. I don't know anything anymore. Miserix. Anyway, 3,500 years ago.
Toyota.
Just call Tuyet Tammy.
Tammy.
Like Mutant
Tammy,
is Murray.
Terry, Murray. Okay,
Yeah.
so 3,500 years ago, Tammy got the Nui Stone, and Nadiki teamed up with her to kill Lee Khan, which I'm like,
Brutal.
that's brutal stuff. And then Tammy, so many names, and it's all the same name. Then she convinced most of the Toa to eliminate all of the forces who could threaten the Great Spirit. This, of course, included eliminating Toa, who refused, or Matoran, who didn't work hard enough. Unless you're Takua, in that case you just get locked up, I guess. I wanted to point out, this is another Toa of Water who uses their massive destructive potential to form an organization dedicated to the Great Spirit. Helrix much? Except that Tuyet's more evil.
I also think it's funny that you specifically said massive destructive potential, because Gali is the only person we know who uses a Nova Blast.
Yeah. I'm like, it's up to Holly now. She's got to do something nuts.
Yeah.
She has to like slit someone's throat in cold blood or something. It's some heavy
they did call her Holly the Barbarian.
That was an act. It's not true. It's a lie.
Sure. That was just her. That was a slip. You know, she accidentally let her true self show in that
Big
moment.
Makuta
She was
wants
like,
you
it
to
was all an
believe.
act. It was all an act.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what Big Makuta wants you to think.
Yeah, Big Makuta. And by Big Makuta, I mean
Kingdom
Pterodax Makuta. Yeah. And so after hearing all this, Takanuva gets an idea. And he places his mask on Takua. And Takua's like, what the heck? Are you trying to kill me?
Get off me. Get off.
Yeah. And it does nothing. And Takanuva's a little disappointed. But imagine that if it's just like, boom, 2 Takanuvas. That would have been cool, actually.
It would have actually been super cool.
But this also does prove that destiny is universe specific. It's not like a multiversal sort of thing. Otherwise, he would have turned into a Toa.
Yeah.
So, then Takanuva's
Or is
like,
it that he hasn't done the specific activation thing that, you know, kind of activates his destiny?
Yeah, now's not the time.
Because it says you can have many destinies, you know, like when the quote from Pterodax to Vakama. So it isn't like you have one specific destiny. It's a constantly changing, right? Or did I read that wrong?
I don't know if it's constantly changing, but yeah, you could have multiple ways to trigger something or to not trigger it, or need specific conditions. However, Takua's destiny in this universe will get a little funky, as we see later on. And Takanuva, in the meantime, is like, okay, we're going to break out of here. And so they break out off screen. I'm like, oh.
Brilliant.
I didn't want to see a cool breakout of the Coliseum. No, not at all. And
they ran out of budget like in an anime.
Yeah, literally. Greg's like, how am I going to animate this? And everyone around him is like, what the heck is he doing? Brian Ellis is like, Greg, I don't know how to tell you this.
Quick, I'm running out of time. They're about to firebomb my house. So they just broke out just spontaneously.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
And Takua does mention something about him destroying some Vaki, but they just instead go to the archives because Takanuva has a plan. But when they get to the archives, they see that it's essentially been converted into a giant trophy hall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's actually pretty cool. They see tons of famous weapons and items, including a full Visorak battle ram. That's a joke. But imagine if they did.
Greg could have so easily slipped that in there.
I'm like, it would have been the perfect opportunity. It would have tied all the universes together. Because what I forgot to mention in Journey to Takanuva is that there's also a Visorak battle ram. That's how the invaders got into the gate. No, I'm joking.
The one common unifying thread of anything Bionicle is a Visorak battle ram.
Yes. The other cool thing they find is they find the Kirkan nailed to the wall. Just like how all the Makuta who died on Destral had their masks nailed to the wall.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, that's cool, actually. And you know Mizrax is just like upon seeing that. If he's still alive. I don't think he is. But actually, in this universe, if things played out, he would probably still just be trapped on Artidax. Right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, pretty weird. Anyway, they also find a stasis tube with Duma inside of it, because he has to show up in all of these stories as well. And so, Takanuva's like, what happened to Duma? Takua said, Duma talked too much. And coming from me, that's saying something. When Toa Tuyet took over, she stood up and said that the true Toa valued justice and mercy. Or, when Tuyet took over, he stood up and said that true Toa valued justice and mercy, and she had neither in her heart. You had to admire him for it, all the way up to the moment that they hauled him off and stuck him in here. I'm like, that's actually very consistent with Duma's character. I mean, this guy looked at the shadowed, like the Dark Hunters, and was like, no, I'm not letting you on this island. Like, no defenses, no backup plan, just pure defiance. So this guy has guts, but he's dumb as rocks.
I can just imagine
Duma as rocks.
Turaga Doom says that, and then, Botar appears behind him, bonks him on the head with a stick, and drags him away. Yeah. Out of frame.
And I said Duma has Barraki levels of defiance, because they both just look at certain death. They're like, nah, I'll stick to my principles of whatever they happen to be at the time. The Barraki principles of I am based as heck. So, Takanuva obviously frees Duma and says that they need to go and find Kraka, who lives in the archives. I'm like, that's actually a really good plan, because Kraka's overpowered as all get out, right? Although Greg has confirmed that if Kraka copied Tuyet, she would not have the Nui Stone powers.
Which makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
The question is if she copied Tuyet and then took the Nui Stone, would she?
Presumably she would have the powers.
That'd be pretty cool.
I mean, she was strong enough to be a Toa Nui, which we know is physically impossible for everyone else because they would explode. So obviously she can handle a lot of power, at least for a short while.
Kraka holds the Nui Stone. She's like, I
have the power.
And then Jared Leto just runs off screen.
Yeah. I was thinking a single Bogorax, like have the power in the zone of darkness, get wrecked. Oh, that would have been so funny. Wait, that does imply if the zone of darkness is a different dimension, does that mean there's one shared zone of darkness between every reality, or is zone of darkness a pocket dimension that's separate to each reality? I would guess it's a pocket dimension separate to each reality.
Wait, don't firebomb Greg Forshi's house. We have a question for him.
Give Greg some asbestos and let's talk to him. What?
Relay the bombing.
So, I thought the scene of him freeing Duma was very reminiscent of Carbonite Han.
Yeah.
And before they do anything, Tuyet shows up behind them. And they're like, no. And so it cuts to the next chapter, and she's wordlessly leading them down deeper into the archives. And they're like, man, when's she gonna kill us? It's so over. And so they go down, down, down. And Takanuva, they go so far down, Takanuva doubts even the archivists know where they are. Which is probably true. The archivists don't know where squat is. They're dumb as rocks.
They know where the inside of their cell is.
Where am I?
Yeah. And so he wonders why Toya hasn't killed them yet. And they're taken down into a chamber where two Makuta, a bunch of battered Rakshi, and an Exo-Toa is. And he's like, why would she lead us down here? He looks back. Tuyet was actually Makuta Pterodax in disguise.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. He's also, instead of wearing the Krakan, he's wearing a corrupted How. Which I'm like, oh, that's cool, because we saw the Krakan in the trophy hall. And so Pterodax says that the reason he's not wearing the Krakan is because it's warded. And if he tries to take it, Tuyet's going to know and instantly take him down. They also mentioned that Onua warded the stone in the Kingdom universe, so they would know if like Rakshi of density control went through it. But I'm sitting there like, what does that even mean? What do you mean you warded it? Like, how did you set like a digital alarm on all of the stone? Like, is that a elemental power you have? Like, does it scream like the stone in Karzani if someone tries to go through it? That would actually be heckin'
I
cool.
think
That would be
she
pretty cool.
worded it wrong.
Oh. So it was interesting. I'm like, I've never heard of this warding stuff before, but now it happens twice in 2 consecutive stories, essentially. So I'm like, obviously it's something Greg really likes. And I like it too, because it kind of taps back into that mystical element of Bionicle.
See, in the Tuyet universe, I could understand, like, because if you had someone, actually this would be really cool. If you had like a Toa of Sonics who was able to, like, his entire job was just to make sure that everything in the archive stayed in its place, because he essentially uses radar, right, to detect if anything's been moved. Like, something along those lines would be really cool. Same thing in the Kingdom universe. Like, if you had a Toa of Earth or Stone who was able to, like, focus on the actual shape and movement in the stone of the whole island, that's like, okay, that's what it means to ward, is to have like the ability to sense what's happening.
Well, yeah,
in
because
your
we know
element.
from when Anawa got Matau out of the wall that he'd been fused into, that he can carve around things in the stone on like a molecular level.
Yeah.
So if they could control it, yeah, that would be kind of cool, actually. So there are multiple ways you could do that. I just wish he'd explained which one it was.
Yeah, it's just very mystical in the way that it seems to work.
But I don't mind it. I like having things being warded and people being spirited away. I'm like, it just, I don't know, it captures my fancy. And Pterodax then goes on to explain that even going out shapeshifted is a big risk, because you could just have someone with the Mask of Truth or whatever, presumably. And I also said it was a pretty good rage bait to have the Krakan out in the open, where it's like, come on, Pterodax, take it. Because you know this guy is prideful as all get out. Like, it's just a matter of time. I'm surprised he didn't take it, honestly.
Yeah.
And then Takanuva explains who he is and that he needs to find Brutaka so that he can get home to his universe. And says, one of the Makuta nodded. He was tall, with armor lined with short, curved, and very sharp blades. I have heard legends of a Brutaka. It is said he's a great hero who guards a valuable treasure. But in Matoran legend, every pile of rocks is a treasure. Every Rahi larger than a stone rat is a monster. And anyone who doesn't scream and run when the thunder cracks is a hero of great courage. And we actually find out later, this is Krika, pre-mutation.
Yep.
Which I'm like, oh, we finally got a description of him. That's cool.
I think it's interesting, really quickly, how in both of these serials, he describes someone where you're like, I think I know who this is, and then confirms it. So like, it happens a lot in Dark Mirror, but like we talked about Axon in the Kingdom, where it's like you have all the relevant information and then it confirms it. And here, I guess this was Krika.
Yeah.
And then it was confirmed it was Krika.
Because the way he talks, you're like, that's Krika-like, right?
Yeah.
And so I also like that this shows how much info on Voyanui the Makuta had, even back then. Because obviously they're not getting new info since Tuyet took over, right? It's like, this is 3,500-year-old info that they knew about Voyanui. That's pretty cool. And then Pterodax says if Takanuva wants the Makuda's help, he has to do a mission for them. They actually say, it's stupid, they say they'll help smuggle him out of the city, but first he has to do a mission. And this mission is sending him flying to the island of Karzani. So I'm like, if he's already out of the city on a mission, and you told him where Brutaka is, why the heck would he come back so he could get smuggled out of the city? That doesn't make any sense. They have to smuggle him out of the city so that his reward is that he can get smuggled out of the city. And Brilliant. They also give him unrestricted flight because Krika breathes he uses a dust bag to give Takanuva a virus that just lets him fly. So I'm like, what? But anyway, his mission is that a Matoran group led by a fanatic named Jala just got the Mask of Time from Artaka, and they want Takanuva to steal it. And they say that Jala would rather die than give it up. And so Takanuva's like, oh. So anyway, it cuts to him flying to Karzani, and he goes, finds the caravan on it, which is pretty impressive because it's like an entire island.
Yeah.
But presumably it's like the roads that he would be following, but I don't know. I don't know anything. And so he lands, and he pretends to be part of the Toa Empire. And the caravan is guarded by two Toa, Koalas and Bomanga, who are obviously skeptical. And they're also riding Muwaka, which is cool.
That is a really cool image.
I think at this time, Greg's like, we need more Muwaka places. And it's funny, and because Jala says, Kodan keeps a record of all Toa, and he doesn't recognize Takanuva's name on there. So I'm like, what is with like Kodan being so randomly popular with Greg? I'm like, sure. This also means if Hafu is alive in the Toa Empire timeline, it's better than the mainline timeline because Kodan and Hafu, unbeatable.
Unstoppable.
And we know Kapura's alive as well, so like you got it all. Anyway, so Takanuva blusters more. Yes.
Sorry, before we move on, I just want to say that Koalas and Bomanga, again, were two that were not named first, but I guessed both of them because of the way Koalas spoke. And it says that Bomanga uses his seismic staff, and I was like, this is going to be Bomanga. And then Koalas speaks right after that. I was like, and that's Koalas.
I know, I really like figuring that as well.
So I thought that was fun. Again, good enough context clues that it's like, yeah.
And also, more hype for the Toa Haga is that these two Toa are entrusted to guard the Mask of Time.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good indication of how much Toyette trusts them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then...
I guess you could say it's time they were brought back into the story.
I thought you were going to make a Haga pun. I'm like, I'm waiting for this. So, Takanuva blusters more, and he's like, you don't know me? I killed this guy, killed this guy, killed this guy, and now some villain named Brutaka is trying to steal the Mask of Time. And then Bomanga's like, wait.
And it's also really funny because it's all sorts of random stuff from the island of Markjuly. It's like the Koli whatever.
He even says he defeated Toa Nuva, which I'm like, that's a lie. The door killed Toa Nuva. The door should be getting the credit. So then...
The what, Thomas?
Exactly. The doors aren't canon in the Toa Empire universe. So then Bomanga's like, wait, Brutaka's trying to steal that. I know him. I killed that guy. Takanuva's like, crap. But also, what a crazy coincidence.
I know, right? Like, you picked the one guy in the universe Bomanga happened to remember killing.
But also, Bomanga killed Brutaka? That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, how did he do that?
Well, it does explain not exactly how, but how later on.
Does it do it later on, or is it like right now?
No, it's later on.
The mightiest sinews in the universe couldn't handle it.
I don't think I wrote it down.
Basically, it said that while the other Haga had him distracted, he stabbed him in the back, and then Takanuva's like, isn't that a little, like...
Oh, yeah. Unfair?
Unfair. And I can't remember Bomanga's response, but it's something
I think it's something along the lines of, who cares?
Who cares, yeah.
Yeah, so... It took all the Toa Haga to kill Brutaka. That makes way more sense. But then there is a chapter break, and it comes back, And Takanuva is mentally narrating a story of how, as a Matoran, he led a Nui Jaga to a Mawaka cave to have them fight each other and stop them from following him. And then he says, which just goes to show, nowadays there's never a Muwaka around when you need one. And I'm sitting there, I'm like,
what do you mean? They're right there.
I'm like, the absolute worst possible turn of phrase.
They're riding Ussel crabs.
Because
Puku was mentioned by name.
Yes, Jala's riding an Ussel crab. Bomanga and Qualis.
I thought they were all on the crabs.
No, Bomanga and Qualis are riding Muwaka. Jala's riding Puku. And I was like, that was just like, they're literally Muwaka right there. Anyway, but the Toa...
It's just been too long. He doesn't know what a Muwaka looks like anymore.
I just want to say, the quote is, and the reason I'm reading it is because I have a question about this. When Takanuva says, not very fair, talking about stabbing him in the back, and he says, fair? Asked Bomanga. He was an enemy of the Empire. He tried to prevent our lawful exploration of Voyanui. Who cares how he died, as long as he's dead? And so, my question is, how the heck do they know what Voyanui is?
That could be what the region was called before it shot off.
That's the only explanation, because I was like, it was still in the universe. It hadn't broken
New
free.
Hampshire was called New Hampshire before it shot off into the stratosphere, Samuel. It's just what the region was called. It was a pure coincidence that only that region exploded.
Then why is no other region on the southern continent called a Nui that we know of?
Because we don't know anything else from the southern continent except the Trencrom
Why is it
break.
not called the southern Nui?
The southern continent Nui.
This begs the question, was there a Hampshire before New Hampshire?
Old
Or
Hampshire.
probably like it was just a group of really, weeded out people called Hempshire. I don't know. Just got lost in translation, I don't know.
Yeah, anyway, so the Toa get ready to blast Takanuva, and then Lasovic jumps out of nowhere and takes them both out, which is a downscale for the Toa Haga, but an upscale for Lasovic.
Yeah, true.
And so Lasovic's like, I'm here because I keep an eye on artifacts that Tuyet wants, and that's why I'm the most wanted person in the universe. This will never come up later. I don't even know if he's lying or telling the truth. And so Takanuva teams up with him, and he learns that the Olmec is in the Colosseum with other trophies, presumably, which I'm like, that makes sense. So Lasovic's like, I know how we can get you in there, and he leads him to Po-Metru. And the way he does this is they took an underwater chute to get in. I'm like, well, how the heck? Because Lasovic, I don't think at this time would have been in the pit, so why would he be familiar with underwater stuff? But then I'm like, wait a second. His goal for like 100,000 years was to get into the island of Karzani, which is, connected to Metru Nui through underwater chutes. Yeah. That's how the Matoran in Dark Destiny get there. So I'm like, he obviously would have explored every possible way from Metru Nui to Karzani, which I'm like, that's a cool detail. I don't know if that's why Greg had Lasovic show up, or if it was just a happy coincidence, but it fit really well. And in Po-Metru, they find Pohatu seated on a massive stone throne, it says he's surrounded by Matoran, but I'm assuming they're like worshiping him or venerating him or something, because they don't seem to be doing any sort of work.
Yeah.
And after a few hours, they just go home. I'm like, what is this?
It's just the king's court, right? It's like they're lazing about, feeding him grapes. And,
I know. It was such a weird sight. I'm like, what is this? Anyway, so Lasovic introduces Takanuva to Pohatu and says that they are working together. And Artaka had told Toyet, and so he goes on explaining more history of the universe. Artaka told Toyet where the Toa Mata were, and so she sent agents to Karda Nui to go get them out of the Kodrex. But all the agents never came back. Presumably, they died. So what happened was, in the Colosseum, there was a device that replicates the signal for their canister to launch. And so she launched them to Metru Nui and recruited them from there, because they were essentially blank slates at that point. Because when I first read the story, I'm like, why would the Toa Mata go along with us? I'm like, oh, well, if Toyet got to them from when they had zero memories at all, it does make a little more sense.
Yep.
So, Pohatu says he defected when she ordered Nadiki to kill all the Ninra ghosts because they could potentially make a weapon to dethrone her. And he says, Pohatu gives a specific number. He says exactly 4 dozen Matoran died in this massacre. I'm like, there's only 48 Ninra ghosts? What? That doesn't make any sense. Which further proves that they're obviously not like a major political faction in the Kingdom universe because there's only 48 of the guys. I was just like, what a weird...
Why do you think they're so secretive, though, with like the whole password and everything?
True.
Yeah, and obviously even one Ninra ghost is extremely capable, but the way they're talked about in other sorts of lore makes you believe there's like more villages of Ninra ghosts. And we know even on the island of Ninra, like there's obviously a lot of people there. Are they just not ghosts? They're just normal Matoran? They're like, yeah, I have no interest in crafting things.
Maybe they just blend in like the Avmatoran. Why do you think they're called the ghosts? Spooky.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, or not, it does. It is consistent with Greg's really bad number assignment of Matoran.
Yeah.
You know, it's like...
He's like, there's 3 Ninra ghosts tops, okay? Anyway.
At this point, Greg and numbers, it just doesn't add up at that point, you know? Because like the size of the GSR and everything.
Yeah.
Like, there's huge contention between that.
Yeah. So then, Pohatu does something funny, and he goes deep in a Pometru cave, and he sends out a seismic signal. And it gathers many people from the Resistance, including Nuju. I was like, hey, lame.
We're already starting off on the wrong foot, but don't worry.
Yeah.
It only gets worse.
Akmu. I'm like, what do you mean you recruited Akmu?
In the final battle, you just hear like a... In the final battle, you just hear Rahi in distress. Like those kind of sounds, you know it's a Nuju, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
There's
just
also
hear like a bird tweeting as he's getting dragged away. Just like, what the hell?
He also recruits, there's also 3 Dark Hunters, Guardian, Darkness, and Primal. And he also has Krakua, which I'm like, okay, that's like the first actually good person that we have on the team. And a Pomatoran that Lee Sovic introduces as Kodan, the Chronicler. So, like, Greg must have been on a Kodan kick or something. And it's funny that Pohatu is part of this league because Pohatu famously names his claws the Kodan ball when they're put together.
That's true.
So I'm like, in every universe, they have some sort of special relationship.
It's interesting to note that Nuju would be a Matoran here.
Oh. I thought he was a Toa.
Because I assumed he was a Toa, but then I realized
the Metru wouldn't be there.
It didn't mention anything about him being Toa Nuju.
That makes sense.
And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess if they killed Lee Khan.
Yeah. What I also like about this team, it has 2 Pomatoran, which Pohatu being in Pometru would be more exposed to, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, from a logical standpoint, I can see how he would have gathered these people. But I'm like, this is essentially 5 evil people, Krakua and Kodan, because I hate Nuju's guts, I hate Akmu, and the Dark Hunters are obviously evil. Anyway, and then Pohatu says that Takanuva is an unknown, which means this is their chance to strike at Tuyet and try to overthrow her. And so what he ends up doing is alerting all rebellion forces, and they plan their attack. Off screen, of course. And so it just cuts right to the big battle. And this battle is where things get really nutty. So the aforementioned people all sneak close to the Colosseum, while Takanuva blinds the guards with his shadow. Which I'm like, that's actually a cool kind of stealth sort of tactic. And they manage to defeat most of the guards, and Pohatu decides to use a giant stone fist to crack the wall of the Colosseum. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, it's not really a stealth mission anymore, but I don't know why you started with stealth. It's like in like Batman games or like Shadow of War, where you just take out a few orcs at the beginning until you get seen. It's like, okay, now I'll actually fight and do crazy stuff. The stealth is more for fun than it is for efficacy. Meanwhile, Pterodax, Krika, and the second Makuta, who's revealed to be Kajol, Takua, and Duma all attack from the other side. And I'm sitting here thinking, why are Takua and Duma attacking with 3 Makuta? Like, I don't understand this division of power.
Yeah.
And then all heck breaks loose because the alarm is raised and now it's a full-scale battle. In it, Takua is killed by a Toa of Iron who's raining down a ton of like stuff from the top of the Colosseum. And Takanuva is rightly horrified by this, but I'm also thinking like, they just killed Takua in this universe. Like, that's so brutal. His destiny was to just die. Talk a lot and then die. How brutal. And Matanui is awake during all of this as well. So presumably he's like, yeah, I hate that kid. He's been bugging me for 100,000 years. It's just very funny to think about.
Matanui just watching all this. Yep, checks out.
Yeah. But it turns out this Toa of Iron is based as all heck, because this same Toa of Iron, after killing Takua, also looks at Kajol and just rips his armor in half. And then a Toa of Plasma instantly obliterates all of Kajol's anti-dermis. I'm like, Kajol cannot catch a break.
No, he cannot. It's actually really sad.
I know, but I'm like, it must have been an accident. Workplace accident, of course. And then it's said that Primal, the Dark Hunter, who I'll remind you, his powers are nothing, and he has one small implant in his arm that can briefly paralyze people. He kills Tahu. How?
He really used that paralysis to its greatest effect.
And it said in the Dark Hunter entry that, like, he's super hard to work with and the Shadowed One doesn't like him, but he keeps him around because he's so effective. I'm like, yeah, he's effective, but how? My voice is going because this guy's so nuts.
I can imagine like Tahu was about to do some like giant fire wave or something, and then he gets paralyzed and just like melts himself.
Yeah.
I imagine be really sad, actually.
It's like Pocket cool. Sand, where Primal just like throws up his arm, and Tahu's like, ugh, and then he just stabs him or whatever. It's just very
Thomas.
Pocket paralysis.
Every time you say
like
"but
17
how,"
needles into him.
I'll put in the IT crowd the reference.
I thought you were gonna put in a how, spectral floating how.
I'll put Moss wearing a how.
There we go.
But how?
So, in retaliation, Golly drowns Primal with the bubble over the head move like she tried to do to Hakan. And I'm like, man, that's some brutal stuff right there. But then, Krakua shatters Golly's mask and armor by hitting her with a massive sound wave. So she's still alive, but lying there on a floor. Then Akmu slides in out of nowhere and kills her. It doesn't say how he kills her, but I'm imagining he like slit her throat or something. That's just how it seems. I'm like, this
wouldn't be an Akmu
like
thing to do.
Poisoned Kanohi, Koli ball,
yeah,
like, right on top of her while she was out.
and I'm like, this is getting really brutal. But then Akmu gets flash frozen, and Onua comes up and shatters him into tiny pieces with his arm. Based Onua, by the way, but I'm like, this is some violent stuff. Like shattering someone. This is the second time that's happened in one of these universes. And then Lesovic blows Kopaka off the top of the Colosseum, who falls all the way down and dies. He's like, he says he hits the ground and is unmoving, and Takanuva's like, ugh. So this is a very violent. This is the most death we've seen in any Bionicle battle ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's just say he shattered on impact. Third case this time.
What?
It's a third case now.
Oh, okay.
Toa getting shattered.
And then we come to one of the more curious cases. The Dark Hunter Guardian is dueling a Toa of magnetism so well that he can't use his powers to one-shot him. And Guardian's powers are just like a Rotuka spinner that has like earth and fire powers. It has earth and stone powers and like a staff. So I'm like, how is he dueling him now? Like, he's not Lariska levels good.
Yeah.
So that didn't make much sense, and it will get crazier. So then we also see that Pterodax and Krika tag team Lewa by using the vacuum power for defense, and then Pterodax charges a massive lightning bolt that turns Lewa into a cartoon pile of ash, presumably with like the eyes still blinking on it. But I did think that was a really cool combination of powers. So I'm like, the vacuum against the Toa of air, like, yeah, that's a pretty hard counter. But now, Takanuva and the Dark
Hunter... He just
Hunter...
falls like a tungsten cube out of the sky off of the tower. Fourth case.
Yeah. Takanuva and the Dark Hunter Darkness take advantage of the chaos. And Darkness's power, that we know of, is super elasticity. So he just slides like Mr. Fantastic through the cracks. I said, I finally remembered what he reminds me of. He reminds me of the villain from Batman Beyond called Ink. If you guys have seen that, she can turn into like a blob of black mass that can move like a liquid. It's really cool. So that's exactly what he reminded me of. And Takanuva obviously can't follow, so he just widens the crack and follows on through. However, as they go through, we get more details about the battle outside. And in this battle, Guardian goes down, but it said that he took out 6 Toa before he did. I'm like, what is this guy? What? Somehow.
But how? What?
That's all I'm saying. Somehow.
Like, why
he did
couldn't this not have been Eliminator?
Yeah,
right. Like then
that
you
would make way
believe
more
it,
sense.
you know.
But I'm like, Guardian? What? Okay. We also see that Nuju is sucked into the archives by plants, never to be seen again. So he shows up to the battle, does nothing, and dies, as it should be. Justice.
Wow.
Average Nuju activities.
And then Krika and Pterodax totally start locking in and begin racking up a kill streak on Toa, which I'm like, yeah, they're Makuta. They can do that. But then we go back to inside and we see Takanuva and Darkness get to the Hall of Masks. But as they're realizing it, they're like, wait, something's coming. And the doors get blown off by a tidal wave and Darkness is pushed into who knows where, but he's out of the story forever because the tidal wave just blows him away. And Toyette then walks in carrying the Olmec and the Nui stone. And she's like, I know who you are, she said. Or rather, I had guessed. You don't belong here, talking to Takanuva, obviously. Neither do you, said Takanuva. You don't exist in my world. True Toa must have stood up and stopped you before you went too far. Then Toyette's like, in my world, I am much more competent. How unfortunate for you. I'm like, that's actually a pretty good comeback line.
I just love the claim that I'm more competent in this universe because I didn't fail, which is like, that's a very, very bold and virtually impossible claim to actually verify.
Yeah, and the reason Toyette failed in the mainline universe is because Nadiki didn't betray Likon. Like, they both worked to take her down.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it had nothing to do with you. It was just Nadiki being more of a jerkwad than normal. So, but I thought it was a cool comeback anyway. So, then there's a chapter break. And basically the rest of this is a fight between Takanuva and Toyette. And it's really cool, and it sells Toyette as being a powerhouse who's also competent and evil, which I really like.
She absolutely wrecks shop. Like, it's not even really a fight.
I know, because you're like, oh, how are they going to fight? Because she's like hundreds of times more powerful than a Toa. It's like, well, she just beats Takanuva senseless, kind of. So it starts with Takanuva getting blasted through multiple walls, Mr. Incredible style. And she says it's a wonder Toa in Takanuva's universe weren't hunted to extinction. And I'm like, well, actually, they basically were, because we know by the end of the story there's like 50-ish Toa left from a max of like 3,000.
Yeah.
So she's pretty right on the money there. She also says it's surprising that the rebels have the will to fight after so long, but they can't be allowed to disrupt her peace. So she's obviously going to have to kill them all. And Takanuva starts giving her some moral judgments, being like, you're terrible, you're evil, you should be fighting for truth and justice. She's like, who are you to judge me? You're just a random alien from a different dimension. I'm like, that's also a completely valid point. Imagine some random guy who you don't even know comes from an alternate dimension, is like, man, you're doing a terrible job. And he's sitting there like, what did I do? Like, who are you? And then Takanuva has a response to that, and he says, that's true. My world is messier than yours, more dangerous in some ways. But it is a world that's better because you're not in it, Toyette. I was like, ooh, them's fighting words. I know. The speeches in this scene are really cool. So, while this conversation is happening, he blinds Toyette and hides on the ceiling. And so she can obviously hear him, and she just obliterates the entire ceiling. But by the time she can see again, Takanuva is still gone. And she's like, where'd you go? And Takanuva, from out of the shadows, which he can create, jumps and lunges for the Olmec, trying to grab it out of her hand. But she just grabs him, judo flips him, and slams him on the floor. And then laughs, obviously, because she's evil. And then Takanuva is like, dang it, and they kind of separate again. And he goes all out, and he starts shooting light and shadow. I think he lost his staff at some point, because it says he's shooting them out of his hands. Which would also explain why he's not like able to go toe-to-toe with Toyette.
Yeah.
Because if he had the staff, I think he could actually almost match her.
I feel like this brings into question like when in the timeline this happens. You know what I mean?
Like, what do you mean?
Because like in a way, it could also be before he got the upgraded stuff from the Ninra Ghosts in
yes
the first story.
Because
Yeah.
it
You know what I
never
mean?
mentions him
Like-
having the staff.
So this is
Exactly, because he's never using his staff in this story at all. You know what I mean?
What were you gonna say, Sam?
I was gonna
Always,
say
like-
this is one of my major contentions with the established order of the.
Yeah. We'll get to it when we rank him, though.
I know that's why I'll
Yeah.
wait. I'm just saying.
Takanuva begins shooting more light and shadow, and Toyette just parries all of them. I don't know how she parried bolts of light and shadow, but
How?
somehow. I'm
She
putting...
just has a mirror strapped to her hand.
Yeah, she's like, this is the dark
I think
mirror,
that'd be cool.
and it blocks all.
Oh,
And then she has some.
Ain't no way you just said that.
She has a pretty cool line. She's like, we had no Toa of Light in this universe. We didn't need one, and in a few moments, we'll be back to being without one. So Takanuva charged. The next few seconds were a blaze of battle. Lasers turning water to steam, waves crashing against walls, a race to see what would happen first. Takanuva drowning in the tide, or Toyette drowning in darkness. When the fight was through, Toyette stood once more, triumphant. And she says earlier that she's hundreds of times more powerful than he is, and that's apparently just true. Like, she's just obliterating him in a confined space where she obviously can't use all of her elemental power.
Doesn't she have the Tuyet stone? I mean, like the Nui stone?
Yes.
Which takes the power of 100, or like all the Toa in the nearby area?
It takes part of their power to
Including
increase your
Takanuva?
power 100-fold. It's like a power amplifier, as far as I can tell. Anyway, so I really like that because,
Wait,
like,
would that also work with Takanuva?
yes, it works for any
I
time.
mean, like, against him. So, like, it would be really funny because, like, he brings a bunch of Toa and everything to the fight, actively making her stronger.
She's at the level of strength where being stronger doesn't really matter. Like, she could just, with normal elemental powers, Nova Blast, essentially, as far as I can tell.
So it's like Jeff Bezos with $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. Giving him
in
3
his
more
bank
cents
account,
isn't going to affect
getting
anything.
$100.
yeah.
Yeah.
Him having $100 doesn't matter at all.
Yeah. I also really like this moment because in a lesser story, that would have been where the hero wins. And it's like, okay, he won, but in this story, it's like, nope, Toyette's more powerful. Get wrecked.
Yep.
Power scalers rejoice. A true power scale that stays consistent. Never will we see this again. So she's about to go for the killing blow on Takanuva when suddenly a sound rocks the Colosseum. And she looks outside because there's cracks all over the place, and it's thousands of Matoran, Vortex, and Dark Hunters in all sorts of vehicles marching on the Colosseum. And she's like, these guys are fools. I could kill them all now in a massive tidal wave. Takanuva looked right into Toyette's eyes. Then who would there be left to protect? Who would you have made your perfect universe for? Toyette smiled. Very clever, Toa. And so she's like, yeah, a universe of corpses would be pretty heckin' useless. Takanuva's saying this. If they're so ungrateful, why not use your mask to travel somewhere else? Some place that needs you. Start over again in another Metronui, one where they might welcome a ruler like you. And then she's like, that's a pretty good idea there, Taki boy. So she just opens a portal, and this is literally a direct quote. Takanuva somehow managed to hurl himself at Toyette, snatching the mask from her face.
But how?
So I'd like to point out, somehow, once again, doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Word there.
Because the first time he did it, she just judo flips him, but this time it's like, nope. He just does it. Somehow. It's like, whatever, bro.
She was really distracted by that mesmerizing portal.
Yeah. So he goes through the portal.
Wait. But I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Why can she not just go to the Matoran making machine and just crank out 1 million Matoran?
Well, because she couldn't crank out more Vortex and all the other species.
No, you don't need the other species. I don't know what to tell you.
No, it's probably she didn't think about it. She probably killed all the Turaga who knew how to operate the machine. She's like, dang it. And she's like, Madanui, can I have some Mator? And he's like, no. I saw what you did with the last batch. Also, if she killed that many Matoran, it would destroy the universe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it
everything
would.
ceases functionality then, right?
Yeah. So anyway,
Unless she's really good at cranking out the Matoran, she's just like dead sprints back to the thing, just like
And it's
flipping
funny.
a lever like she's
It'd be funny. She starts
pulling
cranking
the
out
slot machine.
the Matoran, and then they all come out. They're like, I hate dictators. She's like, kill. Next, I hate bland. She's like, do any of these guys want to be slaves? Anyone? Hello?
And they're all just Takua. Because the first one is always Takua, and she's killing it.
It's like, because Matoran are like... It's seeded, so like the first one you make is always going to be Takua. He's always going to be the first Matoran in the universe. So since all the Matoran are dead, it's just constant Takua. And since she doesn't want Takua, she'll be like, no. Anyway.
She kills Takua, cranks one out Takua.
So
it's like a never-ending nightmare.
Yeah. Never-ending nightmare for literally everyone involved.
Yeah.
So, Takanuva goes through the portal with the mask, and the portal starts closing because someone's been through it. So, she grabs his leg and starts blasting him with water, which forces him to drop the mask, and it starts like drifting into the interdimensional void. And then it says, Takanuva turned back. What he saw horrified him, but his shout of warning came too late. Tuyet was halfway through the portal, trying to drag Takanuva back in. She was so consumed by rage that she never noticed the portal closing until it was much too late. She screamed as reality slammed shut on her body, leaving her upper half in the void and the lower half in the Colosseum on her world. Mercifully, death came instantly. Like, Greg really took this opportunity to just be like, can I have the most, like, brutal deaths ever?
And Lego was like, yeah,
yeah,
not?
Go for it. So, of course, when the portal slams shut, it's the Yoda death sound. Brick shaking. Imagine all the people who are like,
and
we
then
want
like
to kill
blue
Toya.
pin axles are pouring out.
Yeah.
Like, blue pin axles are pouring out of her, and then LJ is like, no!
Dude, now I'm just imagining all the people who were rebelling against her get to the Colosseum and they just see her like half of her body, and they're like, what the heck happened here? Like, I would be confused. I'm like, is that actually her, or is that just the legs of some random Toa? It'd be very funny, but not very cathartic for them.
They lift it up next to like a statue of her. Nah, checks out.
Yeah. So then Takanuva hovers in the void between worlds and wonders what will happen in the dark mirror universe, that universe, thinking that he'll come back and check someday if he can. And then it says, he turned his head away from the remains of Tuyet, wondering how a Toa could go so wrong, and realizing with a shudder what a fine line it could be between justice and tyranny. Tuyet's life had been wasted, but the lives of no more Toa would be lost if he could prevent it. With grim resolve, he resumed his journey to Karda Nui. The end. So, that's the end of the Dark Mirror storyline. I like it, but there's just a lot of like, sure, bro.
Yeah.
Whatever. You do you.
It comes across as rushed in a lot of places.
Kingdom's definitely the most coherent.
Yeah.
And this one feels more rushed than the Journey of Takanuva, which is nuts. Because one was like 700 words long. But one thing is that Akalini and Widgets are both mentioned in that universe.
Yep.
So, assumedly, Vizorak battle rams also exist because they're the basis of all currency. Also, Takanuva never kills anyone on his adventures, setting him apart as a follower of the Toa Code rather than one of the Toa Empire, which I like because I'm like, yeah, Takanuva wouldn't be killing people. And I think Greg was just having fun making the most random character combinations possible. It's like so funny. But I did want to talk about the morals of the stories really quick, which, as far as I can tell, are don't judge a book by its cover, Journey to Takanuva. The difference between justice and tyranny and learning to walk that line, and I don't know, just die, I guess, from the Kingdom universe.
No, it's you should kill yourself now, and it's directed at Motoro.
Yeah. What do you guys think overall of the alternate universes?
I like some of them. I actually probably like all of them to varying degrees, let's say. There are none that I specifically dislike, I guess.
I think Kingdom was executed the best. I think Toa Empire had the most potential. I think the Silver City is just... I like it conceptually because it's just a wacky out there world that shows not everything is just a divergence of timeline. There's truly alternate dimensions,
Yeah.
right?
Which I think is explained by, like we were saying, the zone of darkness. It has to be an alternate dimension. It can't just be an alternate timeline.
Yeah, they're dimensions that are similar to the main timeline, but they are still truly different dimensions.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people conflate the two. Like in the MCU, they made timelines and dimensions the same thing. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
What do you think, Arthur?
I really like it a lot. I also like the way that they, show Takanuva maturing in a way. Like in another way, I feel like they could have also gone a lot further with it, but I feel like they also do that later on with the Olmec getting fused to Vizon's head.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he finds Makuta that has an Olmec as well that's also, just stealing Takanuva from all different dimensions and just draining him of light, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I really like the whole interdimensional shenanigans aspect of Bionicle. All thanks to Brutaka, my favorite character.
I think like time travel, they handle it really well because it's like it doesn't detract from the mainline universe that there's other dimensions. It's like there's just cool, interesting, unique things out there. Some are better, some are worse.
I think also the massive power difference amongst the inhabitants of the Matoran universe is a deterrent to going to other dimensions or universes, right? Because, like, you would think, okay, if it's this easy, if Brutaka can just open a portal at any point, why wouldn't you just be like, I'm going to go dominate this one because I'm tired of mine? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, yeah, but we see that in a lot of cases that's not going to work because there's almost always a being more powerful than you.
Yeah, some sort of great being out there. But, like, Toyette, her plan probably would have worked because she is powerful enough to, like, at least survive to scope out a world.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, the power differential, that's a good point, because you never know what the heck you're going to run into. Anyway, so now we're going to try and figure out what happened first in the timeline. Because my guess was that it was Kingdom, Journey of Takanuva, and then Dark Mirror. Because in Journey of Takanuva, the art portrays him as having the staff, but that's not necessarily canon. But now that we've gone through it, it may actually be Dark Mirror first, then Journey to Takanuva, then Kingdom.
Yeah. And so I think that's probably
and that would also make sense because on the Kingdom universe, Brutaka has an undamaged Olmec and would presumably know how to use it to get him back to his home universe.
So that's why I was going to say I don't think it makes sense that Kingdom is first. So to put this in perspective, Greg said in a quote that the order is the Journey of Journey of Takanuva, and then the Kingdom universe, and then Dark Mirror. And that order makes the absolute least amount of sense because like we said, the Dark Mirror, he ends up just floating off. Like, this is how it ends.
He ends up with an Olmec at the end of Dark Mirror as well.
Well, he doesn't. No, yeah, at the end.
Yeah, because he has the Olmec in the interdimensional void. And
it floats off into the interdimensional void.
I always presumed he grabbed it later on. How does he get out of the interdimensional void?
I would assume that when Toya opened the portal, that there was another portal to where she was going to go. You just have to travel through the interdimensional space. And so he was like, well, I can't go after that. I'm just going to go through the portal. Yeah. That's my assumption. It's not very clear at all, the story. But I think that makes the most sense because, again, the Olmec opens, he loses it. So then he gets teleported to the Journey of Takanuva dimension, right? The Silver City. Is that what you called it? Yeah. So, and then in the Silver City, he meets the mask. The mask teleports him, which makes sense that in that case, I think why you would tempted to put the Journey of Takanuva first
is because it more accurately describes Dark Mirror being as a horrible place you don't want to go.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say is the weird, like, warning by the mask. But it's still acceptable for that to be in the middle, and Takanuva could just be like, oh yeah, yes, I've already experienced that. I'll keep that in mind still going forward.
I think that argument, like the actual quote is It's the way you must travel, but beware. You may find that not everything is what it seems on your way. Remember, good and evil can be found in the deeds of others, not in their appearance. That more accurately applies to Dark Mirror, yes, but it can apply to Kingdom, right? Because if we're talking about deeds and appearances, Motoro obviously needs to get his deeds and whatever. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
so I
it's
think
really interesting because no matter how you look at it, there's always an argument that can be made for whichever order you want it to be in.
yeah.
Except Journey of Takanuva cannot be last. Because the spectral mask is like, no, it's not taking you home. It's taking you to another dimension you have to travel through. So I think that's the only one that
I mean,
cannot
not
be last.
necessarily. Even that can be seen as like it can, like you have to travel to this dimension. There could be like another, like dimension that he travels to that doesn't really get talked about, or
True, yeah.
it could be like misconstruing something, and it takes him to Karda Nui and like phrasing that as a different dimension because at this point in the story, everything is really vague about Karda Nui, you know. And it's treated as a different dimension from time to time, like you can't teleport to it and all that kind of stuff.
Biblical levels of cope.
I think what does that even mean?
Listen!
I think that you are right, but if I were to make the argument, I would say that the mask was speaking in general terms, not saying that it wouldn't take him home, just saying that this is still the path you need to travel on. Keep an open mind, because if your goal was to get somewhere and someone said, oh yeah, that's the way to go, you'd be like, all right, great, see ya, right? Like I just want to get there. I just want to get to my destination.
I know, but if you're like, is this the way home? Like, it's the way you'd need to go. You'd be like, is it home? You need to go that way. You'd be like, I feel like there's something in between here and home, right?
I mean, yes, but
There's
I'm
just a
saying you
Muwaka around
could
the corner
interpret
waiting
it.
to pounce.
What?
There's just a Muwaka around the corner waiting to pounce.
This
spectral-
is the way you need to go. Why?
Behind the spectral mask is a spectral tiger wearing the mask. Be like,
Exactly.
yes. And bring lots of cat food. Bring
But-
Krada.
I think the actual timeline that makes the most sense, or the order that makes the most sense, is Dark Mirror, Journey of Takanuva, Kingdom. I think it just works the best, and with the language of it too, it makes the most sense, because like we were talking earlier before we started recording, if you read the beginning of Dark Mirror, it does not feel like he has yet been to a dimension.
Yeah.
It's very weird. It describes like why he's even on this journey first, which if this happened later, it's just a strange thing to do then, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and then Kingdom Universe specifically mentions that he's already been to at least one other dimension, right? And so it's like, well, that's really weird to have. So Kingdom, I don't think can be first because of that.
Well,
Unless
what you're saying
again,
is Journey of
there's
Takanuva is first.
Yeah, I think Journey could be. It also depends on if these are the only 3 universes he visits, because given the way it's formatted, there could have been like 20 other universes in between.
Yeah.
But that also puts the time constraint to be kind of wacky. It's like, so even if their times do move differently, it's not a mask of dimensional time travel. Like, if you come out into the mainline universe, time is going to have advanced anyway.
Correct.
So
yeah. I don't know. It all seems jumbled, and there's not even a clear answer despite what Greg says.
Bionicle does not do timelines or continuity super well.
You're wrong, because there is a clear answer, and it's the one I'm going to tell you now.
Okay.
I personally think that it is Journey of Takanuva, Kingdom, then Dark Mirror.
I think it's Dark Mirror Journey.
The reason why I think it's Journey, Kingdom, Dark Mirror is because first, you know, like the How is like some sort of Sensei Wu type character as like a mentor on the journey that Takanuva is going to go on, with like a basic form of what it's trying to be taught to him, where it's don't judge people by their appearance and stuff, with the whole, you know, the giant, like the ash bear looking creature that is being chased out of the city. Then goes to the kingdom, because there's like certain things like the Dark Hunter being the police and all that, everyone working together, because in his universe those people are really against each other and all that kind of stuff. And then that opens his mind to be like, okay, so just because it's one way where I'm from doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. And then the cherry on the cake is Dark Mirror, where it shows that like all goodness has been corrupted into evil, and all the Toa, the epitome of virtue, is seen as a, you know, like a police evil force, kind of like the Vaki. And then he gets taken home with like the new perspective change.
Thematically, that does make the most sense. Like, it's a neat progression. But yeah, it's more about...
So it's correct.
You know
we
what?
have the stamp of approval, and I'm leaving the show. See you guys later. Have a good one.
He's made his mark and time to move on.
But
My
it's up...
thesis has been accepted. You should now refer to me as Dr. Arthur.
Doctor.
Thank you very much.
It's not accepted yet
I
because
have-
the audience has to vote on which version, on which
No.
Order.
It is,
order they believe is correct.
I have just gotten my doctorate from... because I'm right. Shut up. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.
Then we wanted to rank how much we want to live in them. Was that it, or what?
Oh yeah. Like, which one would be best to worst if Takanuva were to just kind of like be transplanted from one into another? Which would be the best timeline to the worst timeline?
Let's also rank mainline universe.
Yeah,
that makes it more fun.
Yeah, I think the best.
Not like Journey, because Journey is kind of like, you know, it's a nondescript forest with like a crystalline city.
It's
You know,
not
there's nothing
nondescript.
really
It's a
given.
twisted forest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think Kingdom is the best. Maybe. Well, if we go to other dimensions, there's also the melding universe, which we see in the Brothers in Arms comic, and that's where pretty much all the Matoran and species live on a big planet that they stop from exploding, and it's kind of Kingdom-esque in that they live in a utopia, but it's ruled by morally good Makuta and morally upright great beings.
Huh.
So that's probably the best universe to live in. Then I'd say Kingdom. Then I would say it's kind of a toss-up between Toa Empire and Mainline, because Mainline gets pretty bad, and Toa Empire has Kodan and Hafu and Kapura. That's pretty good. And they overthrow Tuyet at the end.
I think what you have to consider is for Takanuva specifically, yes, mainline does get bad, but ultimately resolves in a positive way.
Spoilers. I'm just joking.
And in the Dark Mirror universe, if he had not tried to escape, Toyet would not have died. And I think Takanuva would have died, or at least be in prison permanently.
True.
So I think Dark Mirror has to be the actual worst place for Takanuva to be.
Yeah. I agree.
I would like to throw a curveball and say that it would technically be the best place. Because, you know, like, let's say, like, at the end of the story, Takanuva comes back. There is no real threat. Mata Nui is perfectly safe. Everyone, like, sure, they're a little bit afraid of the Toa and stuff, but with a little bit of brainwashing, with the help of Karzani, you know, that can go back to, like, you know, everyone can go through therapy in 1,000 years in a second, basically. And, you know, everything's perfectly fine.
Biblical levels of
Change
cope.
my mind. Change my mind. Give me your argument right now.
No. You're wrong.
Oh, okay. You
Is that not a compelling argument? Well, let's vote on
You
it
forfeit the
democratically.
title of Lore Master Supreme.
Raise your hand if you believe Dark Mirror is the worst universe. Samuel and I are raising our hands. Arthur, what do you
Well,
vote?
I can't confirm or deny this.
Yes, exactly.
Do you want to vote with us or against us? Either way, you lose, but one, you get to save your dignity.
You know, I'm just gonna leave the podcast real quick.
No, pull a Duma and just be like, I stick by my principles no matter how wrong they are.
I'm just gonna go be put into a medically induced coma real quick.
He is pulling a Taraka Duma. Okay, well, that is the end of the alternate universes. Very fun, very cool. But now we got some Chroniclers Corner, then we'll do community section. You are now entering the Chroniclers Corner. The following content may not be appropriate for viewers unaware or unacquainted with the wider Bionicle lore, as major plot points and reveals will be spoiled. If you wish to avoid this section, skip to this time in the podcast. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, Chroniclers Corner. I'll start with the top one because that was mine.
Yeah.
So we were talking about how, like, what is causing the instability of Mata Nui, the island, right? And I think it could be due to the GSR actually decaying, because
That's my guess as well.
it's like the Mata Nui literally, its
Rests on his
foundation
face.
rests on the GSR, and if there is no maintenance being done to the GSR, and it's dead, right? It would make sense that at some point it would start to decay, especially since this is the longest timeline, 10,000 years afterwards. It's like, yeah, I think that's reasonable to assume that the GSR would start losing structural integrity.
Especially without maintaining internal gravity.
Yeah.
Right? Or, yeah, because it would just be, because so much of it was hollow, it would start to cave in, presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, that's a really cool way to do it.
But could they not kind of, how you say, like, rebuild it as it's decaying each time? Like, perform maintenance? Because everyone is still there in a way, right?
Well,
Like, keeping the hull integrity at 100%,
of the GSR?
as it were. Yeah, because there's basically living on top of the GSR.
I know. They can't get into the GSR, essentially, because it's completely dark with no heat or light. It has poisonous air and is full of mutagenic water.
In addition to that,
that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, they keep it like as like a hollow decaying shell on the, like, it's decaying and like rancid and whatever you want to call it on the inside, but they're just maintaining it on the outside, like a shell that's holding up the city, the kingdom, rather.
I think that only works for so long, because if you can't
Would you
get
say
on
10,000 years?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, because
okay, that makes sense.
if you're fixing the surface of the GSR because you can't fix what's underneath it because you can't access it, right? It's like, sure, you can patch up anything there, but then as the decay spreads further and further, you're patching over and over, but you're losing the structural integrity underneath, right? It's like,
No, that is
eventually.
fair. But you're building structure on top of it and reinforcing stuff as it decays on top of it. You know, just see it as like you have a ball that is like a rotten orange, right? You can keep building on top of the orange and like reinforcing and fixing as things break. Like, you know, like it comes to a point where you just have like a pulp with like a solid structure on top.
I mean, you have to
way.
think about like the domes and the hollowness of the GSR. If the
that's
outside
fair.
structure is caving in, it's going to fall like hundreds of miles, right?
So yeah, you would either have to build entire infrastructure
Toa
like-
Jovan at the bottom.
Yeah.
to fill up the GSR caverns to support it from the bottom, right? But that's what we're saying is, like, you can't access the inside. So how are you going to build those? Secondly, even if you are patching up, like I said, only on the surface, there's only so much you can patch if the underlying work is decaying and you can't access it. So you could keep spreading out the surface, but the edges of that surface are going to continue to decay, right? So it's like you would have to completely cover the whole top of the GSR again to make sure that it's not going to collapse effectively. But even then, it's not a guaranteed solution, I don't think. So I
No, but,
feel like
I'm not saying like constantly structurally fix the GSR. What I'm saying is build a structure around the desiccated corpse of the GSR to the point where even if the GSR completely crumbles away or whatever, you still have that structure underlying that's supporting the kingdom.
So like working around the GSR's body to actually reach the bottoms of like the floor of Aqua Magna.
Yeah, which is why I also asked how deep is Aqua Magna, because I have no clue.
That makes more sense. I do understand what you're saying. I don't think logistically.
Which is why I mentioned, when you have the orange, like sure you have an orange, but it's like a desiccated, like it's a rotten pulp at one point. Even if you take it away, you still have this whole structure you built on top of it, and that is a proper foundational structure. Even if you take away the orange in the analogy or the metaphor, you still have the structure keeping it afloat, right?
Yeah, except in your analogy, you're not building on top of the orange, technically speaking. You're building around the orange and building on the table.
Yeah, but you start by building on top of the orange, but like going around and like affixing it to the planet, basically.
Yeah. I think that you could technically do that, but logistically, I don't know how you would, because you have to remember the GSR is like the length of Earth, and the width, I don't know, it'd be still, hundreds of miles. And it's like, and Motunui is 60 miles long, or what is it?
It's like 300.
Is it that much?
I mean, you just need to know the width of him from the side, you know what I mean? That's how deep it would be, right? And I feel like that wouldn't be that, it'd be like, I don't know, how big is the GSR?
Well, so,
it's
because it would
miles.
be on his face, so you would have to go presumably around his head. So I guess it's not the widest, because it wouldn't be the widest part of him. But you wouldn't be able to go, you would have to go out and down.
Yeah,
you wouldn't
down
be
is
able
the
to just
problem.
go down, right? So it's like...
Nah, but you could do like an arch bridge type deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could.
Where you have like the structure supporting it completely to the point, even if you remove Motunui, even if it because essentially they have infinite resources, right? Where they can infinitely generate metal.
Presumably, they don't actually say that.
Or to like build whatever structures they need and all that, right?
You know what? I'm bored of this conversation. We'll say, yes, they theoretically could have done that, but they wanted to make welfare and space programs instead.
That is fair.
They should have put it towards the military budget. Anyway, and then I guess that also kind of answers the question of how deep are the waters on Aqua Magna. It's like hundreds of feet or hundreds of miles if it fits the GSR there.
Yeah.
Although he could have landed and it would have just displaced all the water to rise above him. So in its natural state, maybe the water level of Aqua Magna is way lower.
That's a good point.
So we don't know, but it's pretty deep. Because like the pit is super deep down from Voya Nui, but that's still on top of the GSR, like the very tippy top.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he's the rest of him below that at the chest, which is the thickest part.
Plus, the waters are still entirely covering him, which means it had to be deep to begin with, because even if he did displace the water, raising the water level, he still raised it. It's still above him, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, even if he raised the water level, it has to be distributed across the whole planet, and it probably wouldn't raise enough to actually cover him if it wasn't already covering
And we
him.
also know the Karda Nui dome is huge, like 150 to 300 miles, and that fits underneath the southern continent, which has its own dome, and then there's things below Karda Nui. So that's another like 800 miles you have to account for.
That's true.
So it's pretty deep.
That's actually crazy.
I know.
Okay,
the GSR
the
is
scale of the GSR makes no sense in a way.
No,
like,
but I love it.
What was it, like 1,000 miles?
No,
tall or something?
It's
or was that just his
it's
head?
40 million feet tall.
It's 4,000 something miles in.
It's almost the exact height of Earth.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that Greg just put in a random number that was rounded. He's like, whoa. Exactly.
Look at that. Earth.
Anyway, so now we come to the community section.
Lay community section.
Did you say lay community section?
I did.
What are you, lay French?
No.
Okay.
I was
No, he's a
talking
lame
about
Matora.
like the bionicle lay, you know, the air,
Ah.
you know?
Lame.
Lame Koro.
Got him. That was pretty funny. All right. So starting off, we have Toa Akmu, and this is by Toa O.
Toa of Yak.
Oh, Toa of Yak. That makes more sense on Instagram.
Yeah.
And Thomas made a note that this is not from the story, but it fits here.
Yes. I really like this because this is such a cool take on a Toa of stone, and the custom mask.
The custom
heckin'
mask is
sick.
super cool.
And I also love the black elements in it as well because, like, yeah, it's Akmu, and his color scheme is black and tan, and he's also evil.
And let's be honest. If Akmu if he could choose to be any sort of Toa, he would have chosen a Shadow Toa.
Yeah. Bro wanted to be a Shadow Toa so bad. So I really like this one.
I
I
want
like
to
how
see
he
the
has
arm.
the back compatibility thing, like from the Fantoka, to put a Matoran on there.
Oh, that's true. That's pretty cool.
Neat. Because he's going to be turning into a Shadow Toa during that wave. Nice little connection, if that's intentional. If it's not intentional, I don't know what you were thinking, bro.
He just wanted to put electrodes on his back.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have Rebellion Pohatu, and this is by Sonova32 on TTV. Who Sonova32, we've looked at
before.
several builds before.
I really like this one because it has, like, it looks like G2 Pohatu. It takes, like, the best elements from G2 Pohatu, and it gives him that sick axe, which he has in the Dark Mirror story, because it said when they're going to he picks a giant axe up off the wall.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is cool.
I really like the axe design.
And that it's based off his Toa Mata design, not his Nuva design, which is vastly superior.
Yeah.
I really love the pop of green, like the way that it just complements so well.
Yeah, it does.
I know. That was the most inspired part for me. I'm just like, that. I don't know why they haven't done that sooner. It just works.
The feet look.
So Jacob's
toes.
not here, so you have to comment on the feet. Is that what this
I'm
is?
talking about the toes specifically.
The
But
toes specifically. No, but yeah, because it has the Pohatu kicking things on him. Neat.
all right.
Oh, you say?
Another Sonova 32 build. This is Toyet Mach. Toyet Mach.
On Reddit.
On Reddit, yep.
Oh yes, my favorite, Toa Toyota.
Yeah. I love the masks that Sonova uses. They're always so very cool.
This is very like Karai.
Yes, you're right. It is kind of like Karai from Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Dang, you're right. The mask is like exactly her head shape.
Yep.
That's crazy. I also like the after effects on it and the Motoric in the background.
Yeah.
Like, it's just very cool. It gives that vibe of like, yeah, this is the most powerful person here. And then, of course, she has the glowing orange stud, which is presumably representing the Nui stone.
I like it. Yeah, it looks really good. It's a cool build.
Yeah, just very solid and clean.
All right, last but not least, we have the Barra Magna Toa Nuva, and this is by Temple Beast. And so Temple Beast said that these belong to the Dark Mirror universe. We do have a question. Did you mean Dark Mirror or did you mean Kingdom?
Or did you mean melding?
Yeah, maybe any of the above.
Yeah.
Because we were just curious because several of these guys die during the Kingdom universe story, the Dark Mirror story.
Yeah.
So if you would clarify, if you have the time, that would be great. But anyway, starting off with Barra Magna Gali.
I mean, there is still always like the red star. Could have
That
just
is
plucked them
true.
out of there.
That's a good point.
Yeah, if they had space travel, they go up to the Red Star and they have to rescue everybody from that. That would have been cool.
Or maybe the Red Star just works in their dimension.
It didn't seem to because Tanma didn't come back.
Well, that was universe.
Oh,
I was
Kingdom.
talking
Yeah,
about
Dark Mirror.
Dark Mirror.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, starting us off, we have Gali.
She kind of looks like G2 Golly I was getting with like the little fins, the jet fins.
I think it's
on her.
she looks like a mix between Gali from Mystica and like more of an Anika style build.
Mm-hmm.
I guess probably because there are just a lot of Anika parts on her.
I like
Anika Mari.
I like the super trident because it's no Kama's trident, obviously, but augmented by
Yeah, I really like that.
the stuff. And then I really like the silver and blue on her. Like, she has a lot more silver than I would think to put, but it works really well because it's anchored by the blue at the key points.
Yeah.
But next,
The
we
trident gives off the vibes of Nakama gave her staff, Dekar gave his blades, and then she just duct taped them together.
Yeah. She's looking at the car. Give me those. Oh,
That's what.
anyway,
Next, we have Kopaka,
Kopaka.
who is looking absolutely roided.
And he killed Jala's Hana crab and skinned it alive to wear it as a chest plate. That's pretty brutal.
That is pretty brutal.
I love
Spray
the sword.
painted,
It's
too.
awesome.
Yeah. The sword's super cool. It looks like it's kit bash from like arrow slicers or air katanas. My bad. Like two air katanas
also-
put together.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that or if it's a variation of Tahu's dual Nuva blades.
Yeah, it could be.
The chest piece is also on the back as well, and I feel
Yeah,
like
I
it
could
really it's a
I
nice
s-
shape.
See that? That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I love how sturdy he is. Like, he looks very thick and like ready to rumble.
Put together.
The one thing I'm not crazy about is the mask. I think it has too many holes for me. Like, Kopaka's masks have always been like solid.
Yeah.
And that's the way I like
It's
it.
too how coated with the ribs on the side.
Yes, it does kind of look like the how. You know, Tahu wasn't a fan of that.
Tahu just in the corner. How could this happen to me?
Next, we have Leiwa.
And his mask, no issues. This is even an improvement over the Miru Nuva, which
Yeah.
is one of my favorite masks. That one's cool, but this one, it's like, yes, exact. This is what the modern Miru Nuva would look like, in my opinion.
I really do like it. I like this whole design.
This may be one of my. I haven't seen the others yet, but this is my favorite so far because the super long bow is just heckin' sick, and the fact that's a Thornax launcher is also cool because you can actually play with it. And then the little spikes on the back of the legs
I just
are
thought
so cool.
that's such a cool idea to give a air Toa a bow because they could like direct their ammo.
Oh yeah,
It'd be like Yondu's arrow, but not quite to that
Oh,
degree.
God, yeah.
yeah. And they can also shoot from above, which is super
True.
useful because they can fly essentially. I also love how like sturdy the legs look. Like they look very filled out and thick, which if you're like going in the trees and jumping around, that's what you would want.
Yeah.
So, and the colors, very nice. Like I don't know if they're different shades of silver or if it's just the way it looks, but like the chest piece and the thigh armor,
Yeah.
are they different colors or are they the same?
I think they're the same.
Okay, because it looks really nice.
They're the same. I think it's just like in
The-
shadow.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it works
rendering-
really well though.
All right, next we have Onua.
I love the Mystica inspiration.
I was literally
With
just
the
gonna say that.
shoulder
I'm like, obviously we got the Mystica inspiration right here. This is actually a really cool way to use that shield and have like a ginormous arm, which I'm always a fan of, like the ginormous hunched sort of arm aesthetic.
I love the giant pickaxe.
See,
that's such a cool idea.
I'm not crazy about the giant pickaxe. I like my Onua to have no tools, like no offensive tools. I'm fine with the shoulder shield, but I don't know. I just want him to tear at people's face.
I don't
Okay.
think he uses it as a weapon. It's just for looks and for digging holes.
Even better. See, just drop the pickaxe, give me
Big holes.
as is. What was that?
Nothing. I was making a stupid joke.
Oh, okay.
I do like
Classic.
how he has the claws, the digging claws.
Yeah, they look really nice. The mask, I think, is probably a side grade. Like, again, it has a lot
Yeah.
of holes and stuff in it, but like the Picari does as well. I just like kind of the diamond shape of the Picari
Yeah.
generally. So I'm always sad to see that go. But it's not a bad design.
I like the feet actually work well on him. And this foot piece, I feel like, does not work well on a lot of
Yeah,
builds.
because it's a big kind of glompy sort of foot, but I think that really fits Onua.
Yeah.
If you were to get rid of the pickaxe,
Uh-huh.
if you were to get rid of the pickaxe, it would be really interesting to see if they use like the like the friction, like hand axle, like the hand pieces with the axle on like the middle area, like you see on Brutaka and all the Titans.
Oh.
Like, because then you have like a longer version of the hand with the 3 fingers immediately and could like really lean further into the digging thing with the claws. Like, instead of having it at a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
If only we had some guy who could draw whatever the heck he wanted. But, you know.
Yeah, Jared.
Yeah, where's Jared when we need him? Pohatu next, though. I like that he's running. Obviously, you got to get that little bit of character in there. And in his left hand, he's holding an axe like how Botar does it. Another subtle Botar reference, I imagine.
Brilliant.
How come there's no Botars in this, huh? More alternate Botars. Anyway, I really like this.
I really like the mask.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like the mask design on this one.
The mask is heckin' sick.
I think there are a few masks that a lot of the designers, like digital designers, tend to use. I don't know where they come from specifically, but both Marrow Ghost and Temple Beast, and I've seen a few others like to use the masks, and I'm always like, yep, these are a good choice.
I think the Hortica chest plates on the arms looks really sick and helps like bulk him out a lot. And of course, I don't know what he does with legs, but the legs on all of these mocks look really nice.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because they're mostly just like standard parts, right? Like you could build this leg and it's just essentially the main components, which are the thigh piece and then the shin piece and then a foot.
Yeah.
And it's like, but they're putting interesting pieces in between there to really fill it out, but it's not like overbuilt. It's just
it's just nice. It's clean. And of course, I really do like that mask. But then Tahu.
Last,
what do we think
least,
of Tahu?
He looks huge.
He looks like he's posed in the same way in Mask of Light when he goes to stop the Rakshi, when he has the swords apart. That's what it is. I'm like, this pose is triggering something in my memory. Because it's just such a... In combat, this is like the worst pose you could possibly do.
I know, right?
Aside from having like your arms behind your back. It's like you're just begging to be shot. See, he's going to have tan mud happen to him. He's just going to get shattered by a Rakshi. I like the shoulders.
That's what I was going to point out.
I also think the mask is really nice. It's not as cool as the How, obviously, because like the How is like one of the best design masks of all time.
Yeah.
But it is, I think, a worthy side grade.
Interesting how you were talking about the holes in the other one, and this is like basically has no holes in the same spots as the original How.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, interesting choice.
Like, how are you doing that? I'm not crazy.
He's leaning more into the Toa Nuva mask than...
Yeah,
it definitely
you're
is.
right. I can definitely
It's
see
like,
that.
I feel like half of them are leaning towards the Nuva masks, and some of them are, and the other half are leaning towards the Mata masks.
Yeah. One thing I'm not crazy about, I don't know if I'm crazy about the orange, the red, and the silver. Like, it just seems like a lot of colors to me. And the orange stands out so much more than the red, where I feel like that's Jala's thing, having the orange and the red, whereas having just the red is much more Tahu.
Yeah, I get it. I understand why, because you want to have the consistent silver theme because the Nuva have the consistent silver theme.
Yeah.
But I feel like gold would have looked really cool here.
Dang, you're right. Which I think you could have justified by saying, well, Tahu's the leader. He gets gold.
Yeah.
Duh. Actually,
I
no
mean,
one
he
needs to
always
justify
gets
putting
gold at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
No one needs to justify putting gold on a character. Just do it. It looks heckin' sick.
Just do it and don't apologize.
Exactly. Anyway.
But if anyone needs the least amount of justification for gold, it's Tahu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the stars and all that, every 2 seconds he's getting like gold something, you know what I mean?
Exactly. He has a bunch of people bring him gold armor pieces. It's like, bro. Anyway, these are all very cool. I like them very much. Temple Beast. You get 3 smoochy kisses out of 5. But you have to take them.
There's just a long line of people waiting for their smoochy kisses. They've not gotten them yet.
Yeah. Anyway, any closing thoughts before we end today's episode?
I'm happy that they did this. I'm happy that they did the alternate universes. I think it's
Same.
very cool.
Which is your favorite alternate universe, actually?
I think mine is probably Kingdom.
I think Kingdom's the coolest because it's executed the best and it had so much potential. One thing I really like about these stories, now that I'm thinking about it, they all would have continued if Takanuva hadn't intervened. He was just there, like, as an additional help to tell the story, right?
Yeah.
Like, the rebellion would have eventually fought Toyette. Like, the Toa probably could have managed to fend off Makuta if something happened. But it's just like, he was there to help.
Yeah.
Which I like. It makes the universes feel more like their own and not like they're dependent on the main character.
He's more like the
But I think
catalyst to
Kingdom.
each of the stories. You know, that starts
Yeah.
all of the plot lines in a way.
Which is how it should be. What's your favorite, Arthur?
I'd have to say Kingdom.
Yeah, Kingdom's the best. Goated with the South. But with that all being said, I think we're gonna say, let's all say it together.
Good
night, Metro Nui. This brings us to the end of today's podcast. If you enjoyed the discussion, please follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you like to watch instead of listen, you can also find us on YouTube. The Barraki Talk Show is only made possible thanks to viewers like you. Thank you.